If you've ever been thankful for a veteran in your life, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy Veterans Day, and a special thank you and happy Monday to all of the veterans out there. We're able to do this because of you. So thank you very much. Happy Veterans Day. Bond market is closed. Stock market is open. We're going to get you set for it. Happy Monday. All right, folks, happy Monday. Welcome back. I hope that you all are rested up and had a great weekend. Another week on deck. There's going to be lots of earnings and there's going to be lots of market movement, and we are going to break it down for you. So glad to see everyone back. Jonathan, looks like you are getting the morning coffee going here. Good morning, my man. Good morning, Yashwant. Morning coffee for you as well. So let's go ahead and talk about things that are going on in the market. Get prepared here for today. I do have a list of stuff that I want to go through here, but there's going to be, there's not as much news flow as there was last week, at least not yet. It should likely pick up later on throughout the week here, but so far on this Monday, not a whole lot to cover. So I do want to go through some of the tickers and the stocks that you folks want to take a look at. I'm sure we'll have extended ticker time here as we get closer to the 9 o'clock hour. First, though, we're going to start with the SPY, and then we're going to start talking about some of the news items that have taken place. Just to kind of get you prepared for for the week ahead here, SPY is still in complete breakout mode, and here we are at 600 on the SPY. We had a gentleman in our happy hour last week call SPY 600 by Friday's close, and it sure looks like we got pretty much right there. So here we go. Lots of green arrows here again in the morning. SPY trading back up here. Futures up. Lots of green arrows here. So you can see we're actually above the trend line. Blue sky breakout. I really want to see how high we trade above 600 here. There's also been some talk about maybe the market having kind of a blow off top here. All of that stuff. I'm not willing to short the market with the strength that we're seeing now. I'll wait. I won't be able to top ticket. I'll wait for it to confirm a move down if it even does that. We'll see if we get that. I'm not trying to play hero ball here with the short. So looking at the SPY, looking at the market here, we are in blue skies. I guess before we move on here, might as well take a look at the Qs as well. You can see the Qs breaking out here, technology doing pretty well. We're going to talk about a story here regarding Taiwan Semiconductor. Maybe that'll have an effect on the chips and the technology market. We'll go through that here in a little bit. And then the other one is going to be IWM, right? IWM, huge breakout last week above like this 227, 228 level. And actually this morning, it looks like it's going to be even stronger. It looks like it wants to break out here again. So we'll see if we can get over these all-time highs here, 244 on the IWM. That will be really exciting too. So that's kind of where we're sitting with the market. Let's go ahead and dive into some of the individual news items. Now, one of the first ones, or two of them, are going to involve China. China did some stimulus. I think it was like a $1.4 trillion stimulus package. Didn't do as well as they had hoped, I think. And then the other news story here is going to revolve around Taiwan Semiconductor. So here's your daily chart on Taiwan Semiconductor. Yes, we're just shy of 200. The U.S. basically requested that TSM halt shipments to China after discovering one of their chips in a Huawei product. So why is it moving here? Taiwan Semiconductor shares trading lower following recent reports suggesting the U.S. requested the company to halt shipments to China following the discovery of its chip in a Huawei AI processor. So Huawei's on the U.S. restricted trade list, mandating suppliers to get licenses for goods and technology shipped to the company. So now it looks like there's just kind of this back and forth here, right? China, one of the things that's been going on with China is there's always talk about them stealing intellectual property and this and that. And now they're finding one of the Taiwan Semiconductor chips in one of the Huawei products. So we'll see what this means for the stock. Stock's down here just 1% in the pre-market. Really not a whole lot. It's actually still above the 20-day moving average here. And it'll be interesting to see if we can pop back above 200 and then maybe reclaim this recent high. This one up here is about 212. I don't think that's 212.60. I'd say 212.60 is going to be your high print here. That's one of the areas that we want to focus on and see if we take out. It does look like we've kind of come back into some of these support levels here. Like I mentioned, we really did a good job holding on to 190. This actually filled the gap to the downside here. Despite the negative news here today, it's really not dragging on it a whole lot. It's not even breaking the 20-day moving average here. So it'll be interesting to see where we finish here today. This is the intraday chart. Sorry, I just wanted to take a look there at the news. This is the intraday chart on Taiwan Semiconductor. I wouldn't be shocked if this attempts to go green here today. So as far as a potential day trade or as far as a potential shorter term trade here, Taiwan Semiconductor, watching that around the open, that might be one of the things to go after here. So let me know if any of you folks are trading Taiwan Semiconductor. Any thoughts on this piece of news and then what this might mean going forward? The other thing as it pertains to China is that we did have some new, and actually I'll go ahead and post this. This is actually comes from Benzinga.com. This is one of the top news articles. I'll go ahead and throw that link there in the chat if you folks want to read that. One of the news posts here, Xi Jinping courts U.S. allies to counter Trump trade threats. So at the same time that we have the United States government asking Taiwan Semiconductor to halt shipments to China, you also have Xi Jinping talking about how they're going to kind of fight some of the proposed tariffs on China. I thought this article was pretty interesting in here. And one of the things that we discussed last week is that the stimulus that China is going to do might kind of be in order to maybe, I don't want to say fight, that's the wrong word, but maybe kind of counter some of the tariff talk here and bolster a market that's really, really struggling. So we'll see. Here, let me see if I can find the quote here. To counter this, the Chinese leadership is reportedly considering offering tariff cuts, visa exemptions, and other incentives to U.S. allies in Europe and Asia. This strategy-themed unilateral opening represents a shift from China's traditional quid pro quo approach to economic and diplomatic deals. So we'll see what this leads to. Certainly seems like they're open to kind of negotiate. And I would imagine that in the long run, that would be a pretty good thing. So we'll see how that shakes out here as well. Sadaf saying TSM is a short-term sell and a long-term buy ticker. I totally understand the thought process there. I would agree with you, especially on the long-term end of that. As far as the short-term goes here, definitely seems to be a little headwinds. But given the momentum that we're seeing in some of the other pockets of the market here post-election, I'm not necessarily sure I'd want to trade this to the short side. It's more of like just kind of like a sit and wait until we get a better long setup. Looking at the short side, we are in this kind of near-term downtrend. I suspect that this will be a pretty easy downtrend to snap, to be quite honest with you. We'll see. We might even be able to do that here today. M forming on TSM 1 minute. That's from Hugh M. So I'm not sure what you mean by that, unless you mean like kind of like an M formation. Let me know. Let me know what you mean by that. Philip, you're talking about app. Let's take a look at app. This was a huge mover from yesterday, right? Or excuse me, from last week. Huge mover from last week. We actually set up a hypothetical long trade here. Looks like in the pre-market, stock's up another 2.5%. Sorry, let me see if I can get some of that shading back here real quick. There we go. So it looks like we did push a little bit higher here in the pre-market, although it's showing a little weakness. Let's see how the opening print actually treats app here. I'll be honest, especially looking at the daily chart, you traders out there, kind of feeling the same thing that you're feeling here. I sure looks like this might be a decent short, right? This is extremely extended. RSI, one of the most overcooked readings on RSI that I've seen in some time, 92.85 here this morning. Again, it sure looks enticing to short, but it is not easy to jump in front of a momentum train that is going to the upside here. So this is definitely a stock to watch, Philip. I'd be curious to know what your plan is with it. If you've had this long and you're selling into this move, congrats. That's an absolutely amazing move. But as far as the next trade goes here, it sure feels like gravity needs to matter at this stock at some point. We'll see if we come back in. Okay. We'll go ahead and I'll re-go through some of the news here once we get a little bit closer to the open here, but I did have some charts and some things from last week, as well as some price target upgrades that I wanted to go over here today. So we'll start with those. Again, I do want to ask you guys, if there's any stocks that you want to take a look at, if there's any charts that you feel strongly about, if there's anything that you want to have a discussion about, we are open to that. Let's definitely do that. Next stock here on the list is going to be Amazon, though. This is ticker AMZN. And what's great here about Amazon, we had talked a lot about this recently for a number of different reasons. The biggest one was going to be the resistance that this found at 200. Now, it took multiple days back in the middle of the summer. It actually took multiple days. We were unable to get through it. And that actually led to a pretty significant sell-off, one that caused us to lose the 200 day, which we then recaptured and rode higher. But last week, we actually broke through that Bezos wall. That wall, by the way, the insider selling, courtesy of Benzinga Pro. If you use the insider information on Benzinga Pro, you can see where all of those insider sells took place. Bezos is on here at 200 multiple times, selling an absolute ton of shares. Now that we've taken that out, however, now that that's in the past, it does appear like Amazon is trying to take the next move up. And would you look at that? It sure looks like it's obeying the Fibonacci that we had put on here. So again, just to recap where this drawing came from last week, I did a Fibonacci trend-based extension on Amazon. I basically drew it from the low point here in 2023. That was the beginning of the year in 2023 to the high point here, which was the summer of 2024. And then I made the other low point the sell-off point. Now I extended this so I can have the price kind of fill in over this colored area, because what this colored area gives us are potential levels. And sure enough, 211.12 is what the actual level was marked off at. This is 0.5. This is the 0.5 Fibonacci level. Sure seems like it found some resistance there. So that level this week is going to be the level of note here. We're currently at 210.50 here in the pre-market. Amazon's up another % here in the pre-market. If the market continues to rage and Amazon continues to trade up here, watch for that 211.12, maybe just call it 211 area to get taken out. We're really only 50 cents away from that. The next level here is going to be the 0.618 Fibonacci level. This is the often referred to as the golden ratio. I would not be shocked at all if this stock maintains any type of strength and then tests that 225 level. So again, we're currently right at a Fibonacci level 211. We actually took it out despite being beneath it right now. Next level to the upside here is going to be 225. And honestly, that next downside level, I'm going to call it 200, because that was the wall that we broke out from. You'll notice that the 0.382 Fibonacci level is 197.05. So really close to that 200 level anyway. If you want to call the support area 197 to 200, that would make a lot of sense to me. So this is kind of where we're at on Amazon. I'd be curious to know if it retraces back to that 200 level or if it goes for 225. I think we can probably trade either one of those scenarios depending on which one forms up here today. Okay. Fib extension on Pro, couldn't find it. Lynn, let me show you where that is. That is definitely in Pro here. It's going to be in the third item down on your drawing tools list. So it's going to be crosshair, trend line, and then the top one is the fib retracement. But the second one here is the trend-based fib extension. It is the second one here in the list. So there you go. Confirm for me that you have it there. And let me block the spammer here real quick. Let me just time them out there. So Lynn, confirm that you have it in here. And I can actually kind of go over how I draw these if that's necessary. But just go ahead and confirm that you found it there. All right. Pablo Cruz from our Twitter viewers. Good morning, Pablo. Happy Monday. You want to talk coin? Giddy up. We are going to talk coin because aside from some of that China news that we got over the weekend, perhaps the biggest news or the news that I saw being talked about quite a bit is going to be the move in Bitcoin. So just an absolute monster move in Bitcoin. Let me get the futures chart up here on another chart. On the /BTC, so the Chicago Bitcoin futures, I have a high print of 83,205. Bitcoin traded above the $82,000 level. This is a new all-time high for Bitcoin. And as you would imagine, Bitcoin-related stocks are responding. And that is exactly kind of what we expected, right? In fact, recently, the most recent trade on Coinbase here, this has turned into a home run now. First thing we really wanted to do was kind of trade for a break above the 200-day. It did a really good job kind of consolidating above the 200-day, and then it fell through it, but held at the 50-day. This hold right here was the trigger to watch. The next 3 sessions, not only did we get buying volume kind of expand here, this actually encompassed the election as well. So this was several days prior to the election, and then the big blast off post-election. This is also met with the largest volume bar, I believe, since, let's see, this was 2020, Wednesday, November 6, 2024. That was still higher than the one in February. Yes, this was the biggest volume bar of the year for Coinbase, and it has now shown that it is continuing to push higher here. So this definitely moving with Bitcoin. We're going to take a look. I'm sure when live trading starts, we're going to take a look at a lot of the other Bitcoin stocks. Riot is going to be in there, ticker RIOT. Mara is going to be in there, ticker MARA. HUT, ticker HUT. BT. All of those names. CleanSpark, ticker CLSK. All of those are going to be on watch here today, as you know, you're going to see a lot of people talking about stuff mooning and doing this and all of that and trading to the highs. So it should be a lot of fun. Coinbase. MSTR. We'll also throw that in there. In fact, we can take a look at that chart here in a sec, if that's helpful. Coinbase, my favorite trade here. I absolutely love this rip through the 200-day. Will say I'm not long this right now because I didn't hold anything through the election. That was just kind of part of my design. And I am kicking myself for that. So we'll see here on Coin. This is continuing to rip. Really what I'd like is a pullback here, maybe a pullback towards the 280 level. Unsure if we even get that. The 280 was that near-term resistance. Honestly, if this thing continues its upward momentum, the 368.90 all-time high, which is right here, this is in play. And this is back from 2021, right? Yeah, 2021, fall of 2021. So we'll see here on Coinbase. What a wild ride. If this doesn't pull back to any meaningful support level to give us an opportunity to kind of load it for a swing, I'll probably end up day trading this name. All right. And real quick, just because I mentioned it, we might as well take a look at it. Here is your MSTR chart. This is, of course, MicroStrategy. Stock is absolutely ripping. Look at the move here, right? We had a nice little move out of its sideways area. We consolidated. This was what, March of 2024 to October. We consolidated back and forth for most of the year. And now again, we've broken out from this 200. This is all split adjusted numbers. The stock did split here this year, but MicroStrategy continuing to push towards the highs. Same deal here. RSI not as overcooked as some of these other names, but again, you're looking for this to me is going to be short-term trades only until we get some type of reset on this one. Okay. Wouldn't this Amazon move be related to Tesla's impact on XLY? I don't think so. MJ, give me some more about what you're thinking there. I'd be happy to discuss that, but I don't necessarily see the connection right off the top. Let me know. Okay, that is MSTR. Okay, Archer, Izzy, good morning. Happy Monday. I know we were trading Archer last week, and Izzy giving us an Archer boom here this morning. Well, you're not wrong. Archer up another 7+% here today. So you can see exactly what this is doing. Boy, oh boy, that candle on Friday, We stopped right at that 200-day. We actually did trade above it, but we closed right beneath the 200-day. That really would have launched us. Looks like it's going to launch us even so. So here we go on Archer, trading up here. Looks like 420 is going to be the level to bust here. This is definitely one of the smaller stocks that I have on watch for day trades. Keep in mind, I also have a very nominal position that I keep in my swing portfolio just to force myself to watch the eVTOL space. Archer was the one I chose to buy. This is the name that Kathy loves for any of you that care about that. But Archer definitely in play here today. The big level, again, just to kind of recap here, the big level to keep in mind is going to be this 200-day. A reclaim of this 200-day would be awesome. And today, if the pre-market is any indication, we should get a candle that closes above that. Would be even better still if we can close above the 500-day. If maybe we can get another close or two above that level, then I think we can start thinking about maybe 5 and 550 as potential levels here in Archer, ticker ACHR. Really good stuff there. That is booming. That is absolutely booming. Okay, let me roll through some of the other price targets we have here, and then we can go start hitting some of the other stocks that you folks are throwing up. We're going to add CLSK. Perfect. HIMS sounds good. And then Lunar, ticker LUNR. Good stuff from the chat. I will start with those. Let's run through some of the other price targets and analyst ratings news here. First one is going to be SQ. This is, of course, block, formerly Square. You can see exactly what this thing has done recently. Came in, tested the convergence of the 200-day and the 50-day. This is about as textbook as it gets, right? As textbook as it gets. Huge bounce, closed above the 20-day moving average. Today, we're up another 2% here in the pre-market as Piper announces an overweight rating and an $83 price target. So here you go. Piper Sandler assumes block at overweight, announces $83 price target. That should help block here today. This one also might be another decent short-term trade here. The options on this one have always been fairly liquid as well. I might take a look at that here. Let's see. The December contract, plenty of open interest. This thing should be voluminous. So if you're going to trade this short term or even maybe kind of a swing, you should have your pick of any way that you want to do this, whether it's options, stock, the whole 9 yards. The level, the upside level to watch here, 78.13. Stock is currently at 76.20. Really, all of that is within range here. If you want some other levels, let's take a look here. Let's cut 85.76. Let's call it 85.75, maybe even 86 if we get up there. And then finally, there's going to be some resistance there at 90. Once we get over that 90 resistance, let's see here. Once we get over that 90 resistance, obviously the round number at 100, but we might be able to do some more technical analysis when that break happens. But watch this one here. Again, new overweight rating at Piper, price target of $83, ticker SQ. Okay, next here is going to be Toast. This is ticker TOST. This has been a really good stock recently. This actually ran into its earnings, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed. And those earnings were good. So top and bottom line beat. Looks like the guidance hike as well. Then we had a whole bunch of analyst ratings on Friday of last week to help this one out. And guess what? Got another one here today. So price target raised to 35 from 25. That was from Piper. So again, Piper's getting involved here on a Monday. Toast had a really good week, or TOST, I guess I should say, had a really good week last week, and it's starting off Monday here with pretty good news from Piper. Next level here for sure is going to be 40. And the way that I would take a look at this would be very, very simple. This is going to be a little bit lower volume than some of these other names that we take a look at. So as far as a potential trade here, 40 on the upside. If we can come back in, and hold 35-ish, that area in here, maybe then we can set this up with a potential floating island trade, something to watch for here. But again, getting more attention here as Piper with a price target hike. Next price target hike here is going to be on CRM. This is Salesforce. And this one, this is juicy here, right? Just taking a look here at the daily chart, we actually kind of tested this double top last week. We actually broke above it. And then here in the pre-market, we're still trading higher by another 1.37%. Stock currently at 326.35. That puts us even a little bit higher here. Sure looks like CRM is breaking out. RSI is at 77. So at some point, this is going to cool off. But currently, this thing has some mo to the upside. And that should be helped by the price target raise from Jefferies this morning. Jefferies going from 350 to 400 here on CRM. Here you go. And as a result, stocks up another $4.50 here. Now, one of the things that we've seen recently is that when some of these stocks get price target or get some type of analyst either coverage or a price target raise, the stocks like to go there in short order. I can't stress enough how not normal this is. And in fact, just to make sure that I'm not crazy, I've actually asked a lot of my connections that have been involved in markets for a lot longer than I have. And I have said, hey, have you ever recalled a time where some shop will come out with a price target and the stock goes there in a day or 2 days? I mean, normally these are 12 to 18 month price targets, and the price just seems to go there right away. And I've consistently across the board, market veterans saying no, they've never really seen this. It sure feels like this is kind of gamified. The market is kind of gamified. We've seen a lot of low volume trades in the market here, so it's just crazy stuff here. This definitely has upside momentum. We've also broken to new highs here. Now we have a $400 price target. This is another stock that I would just not feel great about kind of jumping in front of a momentum train in order to short this. But at some point, there likely is going to be a short here on CRM. Nonetheless, that's what's going on here this morning. Let's talk about everybody's favorite stock and the market darling stock, Nvidia. Would it be a day in the market if we didn't mention Nvidia? Would it be a regular day? I feel like we take a look at this stock every single day. Nvidia here has actually recently broke out from its double top. These are new all-time highs. It's been kind of trading sideways here, up just about 0.5% here this morning. Part of me is wondering if this is, losing some of its steam. Now, let's be careful with making outsized predictions here on Nvidia. In 9 days, they're going to report earnings. This is going to be next Wednesday, November 20th, after the market closes. That is going to be a gigantic report. That is going to determine how some of the other stocks in this sector behave. There's been some talk about maybe if those numbers aren't great, or if the guidance is not great, maybe that starts to crack. There are so many people in Nvidia. There is so much concentration in this name that if there's any type of down move, we might see a selling from this name and then a broadening into other names. And to be quite honest with you, that would be excellent for the other 6,000 stocks in the market. We'll see if we get that here. So this morning, we actually had 2 price target raises. We had Piper going from 140 to 175, and we had Morgan Stanley going from 150 to 160. So again, 2 price target hikes here on Nvidia. Piper and Morgan Stanley. I was going to say maybe there was another one that I missed, but nope, got them both. So 2 more price targets, and they're doing those price targets here ahead of those earnings. So again, it'll be interesting to see how those earnings shake out. We take a look at the earnings history here for Nvidia. It's a lot of green, a lot of beats, a lot of positive reactions. To be quite honest with you, I would expect Nvidia to post a better number than the consensus in both the EPS and the revenue. How the stock trades after that is really going to be telling. So if I was a betting man, or if I was going to play this, I would bet that yes, it would be a beat on the top and bottom line. How the stock trades, though, we'll have to see. Nvidia up just under 0.5% here in the pre-market on the backs of those 2 price target raises. All right. Next one here is going to be Cisco, and this is ticker CSCO, and this is going to be the last that I have here for some of these analyst coverage. Cisco also having a really great trading performance recently. Now, the interesting part here about Cisco is we are right at a potential breakout point. You can actually see this some people, I remember when we were talking about Cisco before, there were some people saying, hey, this might form a head and shoulders here. This would be your left shoulder, your head. And it looked like it was trying to form the right shoulder here. Didn't really do that, ended up breaking down. But this area was in play. This same $58 to $60 area was in play. So if we zoom in now, you can see we actually retested this area back in September of last year. And here we are again at the exact same area. RSI here, 73.67. So again, it has had some recent momentum to the upside. We'll see if this is going to be strong enough to really kind of take this area out. And much like Nvidia, we have an impending earnings print here on Cisco 2 days from now. This week, Wednesday, November 13th, after the market, Cisco will report earnings. We'll see where we actually fall ahead of that earnings and where we go after that. All right. So that's going on. That's what's going on with Cisco. Excuse me. This was an upgrade from JP Morgan. And it looks like, yes, upgrade from JP Morgan. They moved the price target from 55 to 66. So one more thing here. This is another thing a market veteran has told me. Pay attention to shops that like to stick their neck out. If a shop is going to come, like a firm, when I say shop, I mean a firm here like JP Morgan. If they're going to come out and upgrade a stock this close ahead of earnings, they feel really good on their assessment of this company. It would be very easy to just wait till Thursday morning. You can get this entire thing written up. You can have a plan whether the earnings are good or bad and kind of forecast that into your model. And then you can just as easily wait for Thursday and appear to be right. But JP Morgan here is saying that, nope, we're going to go overweight and we're going to boost the price target by $11, which is a significant amount for a $55 stock, right ahead of those earnings. So this, to me, it sure seems like JP Morgan, whatever they know, it sure seems like they think this is going to be bullish for ticker CSCO Cisco. So we'll see. We'll have to see it. Are they placing their bet on this earnings report? Is this actually a long 12 to 18 month target here? We shall see. But that's what's going on here with Cisco. There is no try. Oh, hell, Ryan on early. Let's go. Happy Veterans Day. There is no try. We are on every day at 8 a.m. So maybe adjust the alarm clock. If you have one of those nifty alarm clocks that has the coffee maker built into it, maybe get that coffee fired up a little bit earlier here. And then we'll go ahead and dive into all of these stocks. I want to make sure it's actually worked out pretty nice because we have more time to kind of go over a lot of the stocks that are moving, come up with key levels and go through some of the news flow as opposed to just kind of rushing through some of the smaller stocks on the movers tool. So it actually sets up nicely for us to get prepared here. Even on days where there's not a whole lot of news flow. I mean, this is basically all of the news flow from over the weekend. Even on days where the news flow is just not a ton, there's still a whole bunch of other stuff to talk to. And you folks have done a great job coming up with other stocks here that you want to take a look at. So, okay. 3D, you want to take a look at BNet. I feel like that's a scanner stock that we've recently traded. We can absolutely dip into that. Bobby M, what happened to Monolithic Power, MPWR? I don't know off the top of my head, but let me add that stock to the list as well. Okay. And then, and then for you guys that missed last week, Joel and Dennis are mutually parted ways and are doing things on their own. So their pre-market prep show is on their own. Sorry about that. We're going to keep pushing through stuff here, though. We got plenty of content, and actually we have lots of exciting content coming up here as well. Also, Coke. Ken, you want to take a look at KO Coke, so we'll add that to the list too. Okay, let's start hitting some of those stocks. First one here is going to be CleanSpark. Now, this one's fairly easy. Easy to understand. This is clearly moving with the huge move that we've had in Bitcoin. CleanSpark here, let's take a look at the intraday chart here. CleanSpark here, 1351. Shares of crypto-linked stocks and Bitcoin miners are trading higher after Bitcoin rose above 82,000. Oh, man, I think that these Bitcoin stocks are likely going to be in play probably all day here today. Is this? It looks like CLSK. This isn't halted, is it? No, it does not look halted. It just doesn't look like there's any. Oh, it is halted. No, it is still halted. Okay. Interesting. So trading halt related to a clerical warrant conversion error. Interesting. So they didn't end up. So this was still halted from Friday, and they haven't unhalted this today. I don't see any other news from this. It looks like they put out some forms here. Sorry, I haven't gone through those forms here. So, okay, so I don't know when this is expected to unhalt. This is definitely concerning, and I think that the biggest concern here, Bitcoin having a really, really awesome weekend, and CLSK with this halted, really not able to participate. Warrant issues with CLSK. That's not ideal, right? That is less than ideal. And frankly, I mean, we're gonna have to see how this actually resolves here, because this chart formation was looking pretty good. This sure looked like this had upside momentum, sure looked like this is going to take out the 200-day, and we have this kind of consolidation area between 15 and 20. I would imagine that this entire area was next on deck to test here. Of course, those 24 all-time highs right above that. So really kind of unfortunate timing. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with the warrant issue for CLSK. So I don't have any new information on that. That's definitely something we'll monitor, but there you go for CLSK. Okay, next one here is going to be HIMS. Ticker HIMS, HIMS and Her Health. The thing here with HIMS, so the big thing here is going to be the GLP-1 angle. HIMS definitely adding that to their offering here, and that has really caused HIMS to move to the upside. This actually turned the stock into a momentum move to the upside. But we're going to have a pretty big thing happen here this week. Does look like we're going to run into this double top. Got this double top just higher than 25.5. Let's call it 25.65 ish. I expect this to get tested here this week. Now, can we break above this and keep going? I don't know. We are getting a little bit more extended away from the 200-day, and our recent test down here was back in September. I do think this still has some more room to run, and frankly, the RSI is not completely overcooked here, given what we've seen with some of the other names that have really produced upside momentum. I think that this could easily run more. I would say if this does break through the all-time high, we're probably looking at maybe 27.5 to 28 as the top of that measured move. I would imagine at that point then, it'd probably start to run into resistance and maybe back test the breakout level. But this is kind of what we're looking at for here on HIMS. I've got this at 25.70. I guess we could just call this area 25.5. This looks to be your next upside area here on HIMS. So we'll see. Okay. Big B's, folks have stuck options in CLSK2. Hopefully that all unwinds well. Yeah, and I mean, with those options, depending on how short term they were, man, oh man, they may have expired if they were last week's. So, like I said, I have no position here in CLSK. That halt is definitely concerning. We'll see what happens when it gets unhalted. All right. A1 is asking, what does the warrant issue? I actually have to go through those filings there and read about that. Jonathan, if you have any more information right off the top there, go ahead and post it in the chat. When I get some time here, especially when 13 shows up, I'll try and go through that there and figure out what's going on. We might even end up discussing that on happy hour, to be quite honest with you. So, okay, good stuff there on HIMS. Okay, next one here is going to be Lunar. This has been another really popular stock for our entire group recently. I know that they had the issue with the spacecraft tipping over and all of that, but look at what we're getting now. This daily formation has been juicy. Shout out to a lot of our live trading members that have been trading this last week. There were lots of winning trades on Lunar last week, so you guys were absolutely printing. It looks like we might have another week here with that going on. Breakout from 10. That's really what the issue is here. Did do it a little bit on elevated volume last week. We'll see if it's got the carry through here today. Honestly, if we back test that 10 level, that would be ideal here on Lunar. Let this stock trade. I know it's up 5.5% here, or just under 5.5% here, plus 52 cents. Let this stock come in another quarter here, back test that 10 level, and I think that would actually set up for a potential long side trade here today, a shorter term trade here today. So this has really been running. Again, same deal here, though. RSI up near the overbought territory. We are becoming extended from the 200-day moving average. It's great to see a lot of these moving averages really pitching up. That should really help. But again, really would like a back test here. Otherwise, upside scalps following that momentum are probably in play here. Ticker LUNR. Was there anything else? I know someone brought this up earlier. Let me see if you had said anything about that. I can't remember if you did. No. Oh, Sofi. Let me add that. Thank you, Junior. Sorry, I missed that earlier. We can definitely take a look at Sofi as time allows. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see anything else added there with Lunar. In terms of your question, yeah, don't see anything else there for Lunar in terms of your question. So really, let's see if we have another strong week here with momentum. We do have this kind of breakout here, this 10 level. That's what we want to watch. Okay, 3D, you wanted to take a look at Baiynd here, huh? That's Barnes and Noble. Gosh, it's been so long since I've been to a Barnes and Noble. I used to go there when I was in high school. I used to go there all the time just to get books, hang out there. But man, oh man, it's been a long time. Barnes and Noble here. Did we have news this morning? I didn't actually. Nope. Looks like we had earnings on Thursday after hours. Barnes & Noble sees preliminary first-day program revenue 235. Barnes & Noble shares rise on that earnings and the guide, so it looks like things are going pretty well here. What's the short interest on Barnes & Noble? 16.2. Okay, so this is actually short squeeze potential. Days to cover above 5 here. Generally speaking, we consider that high for short interest. Above 10 would be even better, but stocks here are Barnes & Noble here above 6 on the days to cover and 16.25% of its float shorted. Insiders here, actually, it looks like we did have some insider buying in the summer by 2 of the directors. Really haven't seen anything else since then. Let's take a quick peek at the financials here. They, of course, have cash on the balance sheet, but man, they burned a lot of cash last quarter before the cash. So I don't know what's going on. This is tough here. This is going to be your 15-minute chart. Come on, give me the shading. So here's the 50 minutes. So we had a really, really nice run on Friday, and it looks like we're trying to gap up here today on no news in the pre-market. Okay, so this to me kind of just feels like a short-term momentum name, right? This really looked like this spent a lot of time in between $9 and $10. Now it's just kind of returning back to its summer high level of what, 14-ish? Okay, so you know what? Baiynd, this is going to be in play here for today. First spot to watch going to be your intraday high from Friday. So I'm going to have that marked off here. Let's call it 1378. Honestly, 1375, that area in there is probably going to jive. But if we can take out the intraday high from Friday, we might be able to go higher here on Barnes & Noble. I'd be curious to know how this trades, especially with some of the momentum, given what we're seeing in Bitcoin. I'd imagine those Bitcoin names are likely to be hotter today. In fact, I didn't see anything on FinTwit this morning. Let's see. Nope, don't see anyone trading that just yet. So we'll see here. We'll see where Barnes & Noble goes. Who brought this up? This is 3D. What do you think here on Barnes & Noble? Curious to get your take on this. Are you trading this? Is it more of a long-term thing for you? What are you doing here with Baiynd, Barnes & Noble? Big Bees, did you cover Mara? Sorry, arrived a little late. Nope, no sorries needed. I did briefly mention Mara. I kind of covered it when I covered Coinbase. All Bitcoin names are going to be in play here today as Bitcoin moved to a new all-time high above 82,000. So Mara definitely in there. Riot, BTBT, Hut. We talked about Coin, MicroStrategy also going to be in there, and obviously we have CLSK, which is halted here. Okay. Good morning, Lions. Great to see you. Fairchild. Great to see you. Tui. Great to see you. Gary. Good as always. Okay, Jonathan, some more information here on CLSK. Appreciate you doing this. It seems CLSK acquired Grid recently. The way the stock was added and converted into CLSK was incorrectly calculated. Okay, that's interesting. So I wonder what they would do. Would they just kind of reduce some of the outstanding warrants for that? Is there going to be a penalty that they might have to pay for? Curious to see how that shakes out. Okay, Barnes & Noble, BNet, good stuff there on that one. Next one here was MPWR. This is Monolithic Power System, not one that I am terribly familiar with here. High price stock. Looks like we had a recent move down. That was probably on earnings, was it not? Yeah, it looks like we had a beat on the top and bottom line from Wednesday, October 30th. Q3 revenue expands across all segments. The shares still sink. Okay, so maybe this was just kind of price to perfection. It's down another 13% here today. Let's see, was there any fresh news here from today? Tumbles is Blackwell allocation at risk. So Monolithic Power Systems, I suspect they were ordering the Blackwell chips. Am I getting that right? And because there's an allocation with some of those Blackwell chips, maybe they won't get as much as they ordered or get them on a delayed basis. Interesting. That is probably, again, this is not one that I follow here. Who asked about this? This was a heads up question. M-Dog, what happened with the preview? No. What happened with the preview? You were asking about pre-market prep. We covered that. Bobby, it was Bobby M. What happened to Monolithic Power? Okay, so looks like they had earnings that were good. Kind of sold off here. How expensive is this company? Forward PE of 43. I guess that's a little bit high for being a semiconductor. Analog and mixed signal chip maker specializing in power management solutions. Okay. Interesting. So this is definitely pulling back here. What do the analysts say about this in terms of some of their price targets? Yeah, they pretty much always beat earnings too. Looks like they always beat earnings. So I wonder if their beat just wasn't as big. Analysts really like this stock. Recent price targets have this up around $1,000. Some of the price targets are actually 1,100. Stock really kind of moved down recently. Okay, looking at the chart here, stock 660. Wow. So this at a support level here from the beginning of this year. This area right in here, this actually was the end of 2023 and the beginning of this year. This was a breakout level. This was a breakout on earnings, if I'm not mistaken. And so we're pretty much right back down to that level. Really kind of has to hold this level down here. Yeah, sorry. This one don't really follow this one a lot, but Bobby, you're actually giving me an idea here. I am going to look into this one. Let me add this to my list here for some more research when I'm off camera. I'll see if I can come up with. I'm definitely curious to watch this one here today. Does it hold this breakout spot? Does it hold this previous breakout spot here? We've got that at what? Down here, sorry. 651. We're currently at 666. Oh gosh, for all you superstitious folk, look out. 666.66, stock down 12%, 12.5% here in the pre-market. Kind of looks like light volume. We'll see where this one opens up at. Good stuff there. Good stuff on MPWR. Let me know if anyone else is trading this one. Let me know if anyone else is trading this one. Okay, keep moving here. We got two more stocks to hit. Coke is going to be next, ticker KO. This one here, this very, very simple. Coke has recently been on a pretty decent run, gave a lot of it back. Watch this 200-day. This is really all we need to kind of look out for. Can we recapture this? We now have 4 closes beneath the 200-day. If we can kind of get back up there in relatively short order, it's only 60 cents away from where we're at right now. We can close above that 200-day. Maybe we can start generating some momentum to the upside. On Coke, that one, that's pretty. Was there any recent news on this? No, does not look like it. Nope. And then let's check some of the other stuff in here. Yeah, barely shorted. Were the insiders doing anything with this? Selling some of their options? I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into that. Uh, executive vice president sold some stock. So, all right, we'll see here on Coke. Really, the only thing that I see here that really kind of comes down to this 200-day. This was a former resistance level. We're actually just beneath it. 65 looked to be that level. Maybe we can recapture that 200-day, recapture 65, and this should have some more upside to 70. See if we can get that. All right. And then last here, Sofi. Your SOFI. Let's take a look at that. This one has been rolling. SoFi, this has been an extremely popular stock in our ecosystem here, whether it be live trading or any of the other shows. A lot of people are trading SoFi here. Really nice to see this breakout. We were kind of teasing breakouts here for most of this year, it seems. Yeah, we were really kind of teasing a breakout here most of this year. Finally, we ended up pushing above the August highs. We are a little bit extended. I would like this to kind of pull back. If you have positions in this would be where I'd kind of be paying myself on the way up. I personally, for a new trade here, would want this to kind of come back in. RSI almost 80, totally overcooked here. MACD actually looks pretty good. And like I had mentioned, we really kind of broke above one of these levels here. But I frankly would want this to pull back before taking another position here. If you're in this, especially if you're in this from like single digits, 5, 6, when our group was trading this quite a bit, make sure you pay yourself on the way up. There is no try, saying El Salvador made a damn good gamble with Bitcoin. Yeah, it would sure seem like that. It would sure seem like that. Okay, 13, you all set to go? Let's bring him on. Happy Monday, 13. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was all right. How was yours?
It was good. I'm alive here. Football is a complete and total utter disaster. But aside from that, lots of really good stuff. New running shoes came in, and I gotta say, early returns are great. So really excited.
What brand?
On Running.
Oh, okay. So pull up that stock. Let's see how it's doing.
Yeah. So
that's Semiconductor though. It should be on, right?
Oh, oops. Yeah, I always do that. ON is the ticker of the shoe company, not the semiconductor company. Okay, so real quick story here before we dive into the chart here. Been a New Balance guy since college. All right. And I wanted to try some of these newer shoe brands, especially some of the new shoe tech. And I had a lot of friends recommend trying Hoka. I got to be honest with you. My experience with Hoka they are awful. And I don't like to throw around words like that, but man, oh man, they are awful. They look awesome. They are super comfortable. They fit my foot well, but they do not last. I did some calculations with the gentleman in the shoe store. On average, running shoes should last about 500 miles. My Hoka's lasted barely 230. Barely 230 miles. So ended up trying these On Running shoes. They're extremely light. They actually feel more stable. They're extremely comfortable. So really excited. Now, as far as the stock goes here, it actually looks like we're trying to break out. Actually looks like we're trying to break out. Huge cup. We'll see if we can end up getting back up to 56. But if you zoom in here, we actually have another breakout here at about 52 and a half, $53. We'll see if we can get that here. Ticker ONON. What did you have here on this one, 13?
Oh, well, you had mentioned the company, so I was just saying, let's take a look at it, see how it's doing. Glad we did, because that does look like it's going to try and break out, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure does. Okay, so 13, I will say there was not a ton of news flow here. Just to kind of recap you, I talked a little bit about TSM and the United States asking them not to ship their chips to China. We talked a little bit about Amazon because we broke the Bezos wall. It actually looks like Amazon looks to trade up a little bit more. I've got the next target there at 225. We drew a Fibonacci trend-based extension on this one. And so it just looks like 225 is going to be the next level here. We talked about the monster Bitcoin move. I focused mostly on Coinbase because that's my favorite trader of that name. CLSK, I don't know if you remember, that was halted last week. That is still halted. Seems to be a warrant issue. And then I covered a whole bunch. I covered a little bit of Archer, and I covered a bunch of price target changes here today. Didn't really talk a lot about the China stimulus. Looks like they had a $1.4 trillion package. It's helping some of those stocks, but it seems to me that it's not really doing enough.
It's and they
that.
said that they were going to save the bulk of their future stimulus for when Trump is in office because they expect another trade war with him.
Yeah, so, and I talked. There was actually a story on Benzinga.com that I threw in the chat earlier. Xi Jinping courts U.S. allies to counter Trump's trade threats. The writer of that article thought it would be hilarious to throw a whole bunch of T's in there. I almost tripped over it a few times, but in any case, the part that I pulled out of here, the Chinese is reportedly considering ordering tariff cuts, visa exemptions, and other incentives to U.S. allies in Europe and Asia. The strategy termed unilateral opening represents a shift from China's traditional quid pro quo approach. So we'll see. We'll see how this really kind of shakes out here.
Seems weak, but yep, we will.
Okay. Were there any stocks that you wanted to go over? Was there anything that you wanted to do? I haven't run through the movers list yet. I am getting a report here that on are great. I will say, J family, the early returns are in and they are good. I actually can't wait to hit my my run today. 13. Do you have anything that you want to take a look at? Any news? Anything left over?
I have just some movers that I was taking a look at. Nothing else really. I think the big news is all out in front of us already with Bitcoin and the TSM news as well. So that could also carry over into some of these other semi names that rely on TSM. So we could see similar controls tighten up with Nvidia and some other names like.
Now, so I'm glad that you mentioned that 13 because the Nvidia chart here, this to me. Fairly interesting. So first of all, we recently broke out, set a new all-time high, although we didn't really have a big momentum push. Stock is up 0.5% here in the pre-market, so really not a whole lot of anything. And we've got earnings in 9 days. So to me, I know our happy hour group has really been talking about Nvidia recently, saying, this is going to determine a lot. Like if Nvidia starts to crack, does that mean that, people start selling their winners and maybe diversifying into other pockets of the market? What does that mean for the overall tech sector? I feel like we're kind of waiting on this report. This is the next really big thing here. What do you think about Nvidia? And given the news here with TSM and some of these chips, what are you thinking that this stock does next?
Well, I've always been, on the side that this thing needs to cool off. I think it's overvalued.
Me too.
Crazy valuations, but that hasn't proved to be the case for so far. So I don't know where it's going to really end up, but the news doesn't read like it's very positive for Nvidia.
No, it sure doesn't.
Nor does it read very positively for any of the other Mac 7s that rely on TSM made chips. So. We'll see. I mean, I think that it could be one of the next big things, but I don't think that it is the next big thing. The next big thing we need to watch for is CPI. CPI and PPI are this week. That's on Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
So those are the next big things that we need to watch for. We need to see if these rate cut gambles. I'm going to start calling them gambles now because it seems like that we're still playing a game of chicken between the Fed and Congress. So. I'm just going to call it gambles now. Even though we got that nailed that they were getting rate cuts this year. Still think we're going to probably get one in December too, but it's still a gamble. And I think they're going to start cutting because it looks like we're going to just keep spending, regardless of who was going to end up in office. Anyway,
okay,
we can go to the movers.
Actually, before we do that, I did notice that several people mentioned DraftKings in the chat. DraftKings shares are trading higher. JPM maintained a market outperform rating on the stock and raised its price target from 51 to 52, while Needham maintained its buy rating. The one thing here on DraftKings that we're seeing is does this move? The one question I have is, does this move continue? We're seeing some of this expanding volume here on the daily charts is exactly what we want to see. We recently recaptured and closed above the 200-day. Again, exactly what we want to see. And now we're at this $42 level, a potential breakout level. So DraftKings, this is actually a really good mention here, Izzy. This one on deck for watch today. I have no position in this one, but definitely one to watch. I would not be opposed to trading this one intraday. For kind of a day trade. Nicholas, Sorry, 13. Let me just jump in here.
Sure.
Hey, y'all. I'll be with you quite a bit over the next few weeks because I was T-boned by a semi on Friday. I'm alive and outpatient surgery this week for my bisected humerus. Okay, so first of all, Nick, I am extremely sorry to hear that. I am thrilled that you're okay. My goodness, prayers up. T-boned by a semi. Holy smokes. I'll say this. We're happy to have you, but we, of course, wish you a speedy recovery.
Under these circumstances.
Yeah, under these circumstances, we're happy to have you, but wish you a speedy recovery, my man. Really sorry.
Please take care.
Really sorry. Please,
glad
please
to have you
take
with
care of
us.
yourself. Yeah. Please take care of yourself. Scary stuff there.
With regard to DraftKings, we're trying to recapture that 200-day SMA, and there's a trend line that I drew a while back. If you want to draw it, you can do the same thing. Sorry about that.
What do you have the 200-day at? I've got it at 39.52.
Yeah, 39.52. So, I'm sorry, that was Friday's candle. We actually closed over.
Yeah, we did. And then today we're actually gapping up again on
Yes.
the back of that analyst.
You're right.
Trade.
But let's focus on the trend line because I think we're coming up to that for resistance. So let me show you where I drew that.
Top here at March 27th.
2021. Yep. 2021 and draw through the March 27th of this year. Yeah. So March to March. Make this march that line right across from 2021 to 2024.
Here you go. So here you go. Now let's zoom in and see what we're doing. We're looking for that right about $44.
There you go. What looks around 44. It seems like there was some previous resistance areas there as well. Some consolidation too.
Yep, sure does. It looks like this was the area where we kind of put in this head and shoulders. Looks like it kind of used that as some resistance as well.
Yep.
Okay, good stuff there on DraftKings. We will definitely be watching this one. Definitely be watching this one here. Speaking of which, my sports bets didn't go well this weekend. I was actually close on two of them. I was off my parlay. I was off two of my four parlays by one leg, and on one of them it was literally like 9 yards short. And if either one of those had hit, not only would it have covered all of the betting from the weekend, but I actually would have made almost double. So really close. Another bad beat, but always looking up. All right, let's go ahead and run through the movers here real quick, and then we can go ahead and take a look at any of the other charts that folks want to look at. I think we've hit all of them. Angel, you're asking for a pins update. We'll get to that here in a sec. Let me actually add that to my list here so that I don't forget. And let's go ahead and roll through the movers here real quick, 13. First one here is PWM. This is Prestige Wealth. This was actually not on my list when I looked at it here this morning. Looks like this did pop up to 180. Looks like we had some news on Friday. Announces the acquisition of Innosphere Tech and the closing of Acquisition Wealth AI.
Yep. That's the news that's moving on. Since it was after hours, we're getting that much of that movement this morning.
Okay, so it looks like they bought an AI company here. Ticker PWM up 43%. Looking at the volume here, on average, stock trades 1 million shares. Today, we've traded 13.5 million shares. Short interest here, pretty much negligible on both the float shorted and the days to cover. I don't really see anything going on there. I've got no insider information, and I actually don't have, they have a little bit of cash, but I don't have any visibility on their cash flow statement. So unsure if they burn it. Stock's really kind of low price here. As far as a trade goes, first thing here would want to see a move up to that VWAP. Got that at 140. We'll see if we can test that, maybe trade above it. But that's what I got here on PWM. You got anything else?
I'll add that it has 12 million shares in the float. And yes, it was from the acquisition announcements that were moving. They actually had just raised capital for the new acquisition they're doing. So I think they're still going to need to raise money at some point. I don't know that we'll see that today. But they are the movement is from the acquisitions of both of those companies, one with the new one and one that they're closing.
Okay.
VWAP at 143. That's the thing that I would want to see the price get up to first, but looks like we're coming down to $1.
It did look like we curled here in the pre-market, but we'll see where that goes next. Okay, let's keep moving here. The next stock on the movers list is going to be CONL. This is Granite Shares Levered Coin ETF. So this is strictly just moving with Coinbase. There's nothing necessarily to cover here with technicals or share information or anything like that. It's just going to be one of your levered ETFs here. Volume-wise, this should be plenty liquid for you to trade if this is what you want to do. It's actually already at or near the daily average volume. So CONL, Coinbase Long ETF. Next one here is going to be DXYZ. Now, this is, I know about this ETF from you folks, from the live trading folks. This was I call this a Crow special. I think he was the first one that brought this up. We have traded this one a lot recently. This is the Destiny Tech 100 ETF. This has made some gigantic moves. You can see recently what kind of move this thing has actually done. We were $11 on election day. Tuesday. In fact, this right here might be the trade of the election, because on election day, the stock was $11. Here we are, almost testing 50. In fact, looks like we did actually get 50 prints there in the pre-market. This is backed off that high here. I don't have any position on this 13. What do you got anything on this one? What do you think here?
I didn't cover this one because we've already know what this is and we've already traded it before. So I didn't bother covering this one. It's not really new to us. Sorry, I don't have anything new on that.
Yep, no problem. Next one here is going to be Rev B. This is Revelation Biosciences. This is definitely one that we've traded off the relative volume scanner. Looks like we popped on Friday afternoon, popped again here in the pre-market, but came all the way back to the level that we consolidated at. They reported earnings on Friday. Looks like a beat on the top and the bottom line. They lost less money than expected. So that's pretty good, but probably not a great situation here. Let's take a look at the financials. Excuse me. So they do have cash. They've got, but they burn cash every quarter. It looks like they got about 6 quarters worth of runway, maybe a quarter or two less. So I would expect some type of financing or offering in the future, but maybe not imminent. Short interest here. This, again, fairly negligible. Just about 0.5% of the float shorted. 1 day to cover. Don't really see a whole lot in there. 3.7 million shares in the float. A lot of the extra volume here today. You got anything on Rev B, 13?
I didn't cover this one, but it looks like this is one that we have traded before. Not exactly sure when. May have been a long time ago, maybe back in February or January. Has a float of 3.75 million. And aside from what you said, it's struggling to stay above $1. So if this goes under $1, I probably won't be interested in it. But something that we'll just keep an eye on in case it gets back over $1. Or if you want to trade under $1, that's fine.
Okay. Real good stuff. Danielle in the chat here. Do we know when CLSK error will be resolved? No, we don't. That was actually one of the things that we were looking in here today. We do not know when that's going to be resolved, but that is something to keep your eye on here. If we notice that gets unhalted here today, I of course will mention it. But yeah, we don't know that yet.
Yeah, that was the warrants as it relates to the acquisition of grid infrastructure that they're on.
I'm going to keep going down this list. We don't have a whole lot of stuff here. We have plenty of time to cover it. So I want to interject here and take there is no Trez comment here. A lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff here to cover. I'm going to do my best. 13, Ryan, or anyone, if you're day trading a stock, Nvidia, for example, that has a leveraged offering like NVDL, why would you even touch Nvidia for day trading? So this is a really good question. And this ultimately, this is going to boil down to your trading plan and your risk tolerance. Any levered ETF, of course, it's going to move in your favor. Excuse me. Any levered ETF, if you go long and it moves up, it's going to move quickly in your favor, but also realize that it's going to move quickly in the other direction as well. You bring up a really good point here because you're specifying day trading, and I think that is the most important thing about this. I actually know several people that have in fact, let me go ahead and bring this ticker up. I know several people that have traded some of these ETFs, and what happens is if they make a mistake on the day trade and it goes the wrong direction, if they don't have a stop set, if they're just using a mental stop, they may end up kind of holding it or convincing themselves to hold it. And this can be real trouble, because the thing here is that Nvidia, like the actual underlying asset, if that moves down, it's feasible that at some point that gets back to where it fell from. But when it comes to these levered ETFs, that is not the case. And even in that example, let's say Nvidia moves down from 140 to 120 and then goes back to 140. Even in that scenario, NVDL is not going to return back to where it was. So the way I would answer your question, there is no try. This is an excellent vehicle for day trading, but your discipline has to be, you have to remain disciplined in order to trade this. If you take this home, the degradation process may put you behind the eight ball. I know that that's happened to some people, and I just don't want that to happen to anyone else in our community. So that's what I would say here. If you're going to use these, make sure they stay as a day trade. You got to have an exit plan in case your trade doesn't work.
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add. I think you pretty much nailed it there. It's just another vehicle for trading that particular equity. It's just if you don't want to have to pay the price of that, and you want to be able to move more shares around for a profit, then you have these other options to trade. You don't have to stick with Nvidia. You could use that. You can use other ETFs. So yeah, if you're just day trading Nvidia, sure, try those other ones. It might be better for you if you're just going to be in and out and not hold those.
Yeah. So really just the takeaway here, make sure it stays a day trade. Otherwise, you're really opening yourself to trouble. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
We were getting a mention about Rocket Lab. A lot of people talking about Rocket Lab, and that's one of the names I have on my space list. And I think that space is going to end up being a really big theme pretty soon. So we can I can share that watch list that I have, because there's some pretty good names on there. Rocket Lab's on there too.
Well, here's your Rocket Lab chart. It looks like this gapped up here this morning, 13, retraced about 70% of that move. What's going on here with RKLB this morning? Looks like no news.
No, I think this is all just moving on the fact that Trump is getting elected, and he's, Elon's tied to him now. So we might see fewer regulations. I mean, we're already gearing up for another Starship flight test this month.
Yeah.
So I think they're moving with that, and it is going to be a big area of competition going forward, and with the ability to send the internal capacity up into space that Starship can, it's not going to be too long before we're going to see some pretty big commercialization happening.
Okay, good stuff there, Rocket Lab. The one thing that I noticed here, we talked about, or I had mentioned this earlier, Rocket Lab got a price target raise from Stifel on Friday from 9 to 15. And this is kind of what I mean. The stock went right to the target. 13, one of the things, and we talked about this on Happy Hour. I know Andy's been, mentioning this for a while. These stocks, when they get price target upgrades, they go there in like a day sometimes, or 2 days. They're supposed to be a year to 12 to 18 month price targets, and they do it in a day. The overwhelming thought here is that this is going to end poorly at some point. And I can't tell you when, but at some point this is going to end up hurting people. Doing my best to stay away from that. Again, your risk tolerance and your risk profile and how well you adhere to your risk plan is going to be paramount. I would say probably over the next, I'm going to call it, we're in November here. I'm going to call it the next 6 or 7 months. Risk tolerance is going to be the most important thing you folks can do in trading. I am expecting a sell-off. I can't tell you when. Your risk profile is what's going to keep you safe.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are kind of looking at Q1 next year, but we'll see if that ends up happening. That's just the going thought right now. You want to go over some more of these movers?
Yeah. That next one here I had on the list looks like NUWE. This is a former one that we've traded here. Did you have anything on this one?
No, here, I'll just tell you the ones that I was going over.
We'll start with yours.
Yeah, that PWM, that was one of them. I took a look at RSLS, Reshaped Life Sciences. This thing is a reverse split monster. I also looked at AWX and NXTC. Reshaped Life Sciences, they're moving because they received a $241,000 grant This company needs cash, so it's not hard to see why that's moving. Also has a very low float, probably the lowest of the ones that I covered today, 463,000 shares. They did a 1-for-58 reverse split on September 23rd, and that was one of many that they've done over the years. They seem to almost reverse split almost every year, but this is, I think, like the 5th or 6th one they've done. This has to do with weight loss, lap bands, and things like that. I don't know that they're even in the GLP space, but this one, I don't know how well it's going to trade, other than we have a very low float, so very easy to push around. Just be careful with this, because I don't think there's anything fundamentally great about this company.
You know, the craziest thing about RSLS here, this was almost a double, right? It was a double. It was about 550. It traded up to 11, and it retraced the entire move here in the pre-market. So maybe if this gets juiced again, volume's going to tell the story here, but be careful. Be careful with this one. Okay. What was the next one that you had on your list here?
AWX.
AWX.
Yeah, this is Avalon.
Avalon, excuse me, Avalon Holdings.
Yep, this is moving because they had earnings on Friday. I didn't really have a whole lot I could find on this. There wasn't a whole lot of data that was available. I do have their float, 2.09 million shares. And what this company does, they operate in 2 segments. They have a waste management segment, so that's going to continue to grow, because we're humans, and as we expand our population, we just create more trash. So they have a growing business there. The other part is related to golf and those operational segments. So waste management and golf. And I think one of the interesting things about this is, Trump's a very big golf person. So and he is trying to build.
Is it still this one?
Still this one.
Okay.
And he's trying to build some more golf courses and hotels in Vietnam. So I don't necessarily think that this is tied to him in any way, but I think because of that, we'll just stick with that golf theme and waste management, of course. Stick with that golf theme, and anything that whenever he mentions golf, let's see if this one gets any movement. I'd just be curious. So it could be this one, and there's some other ones too. I think like Callaway could be another one that moves every time he talks about golf. So just maybe let's we could talk about and maybe in happy hour we could do this, putting together a moves with Trump talking watch list, and it could be things of golf, anything that it could be Kodak, since that moved. I can't believe that moved when he got elected. Anyway, that's a blast from the past. We can also talk about, but the other one that I had other than AWX was NXTC.
NXTC.
Mm-hmm. And what's going on with this one is that on Friday, they made an announcement that they are going to start engaging with the investor community more, and they released I think it was a Form 6 that outlined a presentation that they had that kind of gave an update on their business. A couple of things that were interesting were the catalysts that they had that were upcoming. There's one that apparently still has to happen this quarter. There's another one coming in 2025, and they said that they have cash runway into the second half of 2026. So there was some pretty good information in that presentation. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why it's moving this morning. But the company has a 26.3 million share float, so a little bit on the heavier side, but it should still be easy enough to push around for some trades. Okay, yeah, it was a Form 8, but you were exactly right. That does look like that's exactly what's going on here. So, okay, really good stuff there, 13.
No really good. Really good stuff. Also worth mentioning here, LEDs, semi-LEDs. This is a stock that we've traded before off the relative volume scanner. This is getting a pop here on volume this morning, although I don't see any news associated with that move. And I did see someone earlier in the chat mention SoundHound AI. They have earnings tomorrow after the market closes. Okay, tomorrow after the market closes. There wasn't anything new here with this. No, wasn't anything new here with this, but this gapping up about 5.5% here today. Yeah, this one, tied to Nvidia. This one has been getting some really good movement over the past week. Broke through several different levels I had. If we continue up, let's see where we at this morning, 760. Okay, so the next level I have of resistance is going to be up at 875. Okay. That's 875 on SoundHound. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Okay, I think that does it here. I think that does. Is there any other stocks that you folks want to take a look at? Oh, and you know what? MJ, first of all, as someone that grew up in the 90s in Chicago, I like any handle that is a form of MJ. MJ actually asked a good question earlier that I didn't have an answer for. Let me go back and see if I can read it here. Okay. So the initial, here's some, I asked you for some more context. You gave it to me. Okay. So here was the initial question. Wouldn't this Amazon move be related to Tesla's impact on the XLY, which is the consumer discretionary ETF? So wouldn't this Amazon move, the move higher, be related to Tesla's impact on consumer discretionary? When I had asked you for a little bit more about this, you had said Tesla and Amazon are the top two holdings in XLY. Tesla has been surging, therefore pushing up the entire sector. Wouldn't that be influencing Amazon as its number one holding? Thank you.
So yes, and here's why I think that. When you have an ETF like the XLC, for example, where its top two holdings are Meta and Google, meanwhile you have the other holdings in that ETF, the more traditional telecoms like AT&T and Verizon, T-Mobile. It's been all just those two, Google and Meta, that have been lifting that entire ETF. If you look at, you can do it like a comparison chart, and you can see if you bring up like a Meta and Google, and you can see what the same price action we got ever since we had that bottoming action. I think that was in 2022, toward the end of 2022. So when the ETF goes up, yeah, it's going to lift everything in that ETF as well. So there you go. With look at that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's really good. I'm not sure how I would factor that into a trade at all. It's a really good synopsis there. MJ, let me know if that's helpful at all. I'm sorry it took a while to actually get back to your question here. MJ also added here, Amazon broke VWAP at 8:30. Bezos broker got to their desk. So the one thing here, so let me, sorry, I was mucking up this chart. Let me actually go to Amazon here real quick. The one thing to note there about that Bezos level is going to be that was at 200. And so this little bit of a regression here in the pre-market, this to me is no big deal at all. Again, just to kind of reiterate the levels here that we're looking at on Amazon, or at least I am, 211 was going to be from that Fibonacci trend-based extension. We hit that. We pulled back off of that. Now, do we support the breakout at 200, or do we move to the next target higher, which I have here at 225? 225. Okay. MJ says feedback here. I'm loving the rapid fire concept. Tom also said loving this extra hour we get in the morning where we hit a bunch of topics. So this is I'm going to pull the curtain back here a little bit. My biggest concern when this change happened was going to be how much content are we going to be able to cover on a daily basis. And when I actually showed up this morning, despite it being a weekend, there wasn't a whole lot of news if you eliminate sports. So we found a bunch of price targets. You folks really kind of came here. This is what I would say going forward. I would encourage you, if there are news items from the previous night, or in the case of Monday over the weekend, or if there is something that you want to see, bring those to the group here. I'd be happy to run those down. We can get a group discussion going about any of those things. The more people we get in here, the more holes we're going to be able to punch through thesis, the smarter everyone's going to get. So I'm glad that you folks are liking that. Let's keep pushing that forward here. 13, I think I ran you over there. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to address a couple of questions. Jaskal asking, can I roll up my sound covered calls? Because my strike was 650 and I don't want to get assigned. We can't tell you how to trade your options, but to me, it seems like you've done really well. And those, if you don't want to, get assigned, then you're obviously going to have to, offload them at some point. So that's going to have to be your decision on where you're going to exit. But it seems like you've done really well. So congratulations on those. I'm just sorry we can't tell you when to buy and sell.
Yeah, what I can say here, can I roll up sound covered calls because my strike was 650 and I don't want to get assigned? So here, just from a conceptual like way to actually play this, I've done this a lot of times. I've had contracts, especially if they're just calls or just puts. I've had contracts that where the stock has moved in my direction, and I'm looking at these calls and I'm like, gosh, these things are up 200% or whatever it ends up being. I mean, I'd imagine if you have 650 calls and the stock price here is 750, you're up considerably on those. Selling and rolling into a higher strike, this is actually a method of locking in profit. So I really like this, right? So for example, you said your sound covered calls, your strike was 650. You didn't mention an expiry here, but if I wanted to maintain exposure, let's say I had 10 calls, what I would then do is buy maybe 5 calls several months in the future at maybe 8. I'd roll them up, give yourself some more time and a higher strike price, but don't use all of the profit from your sale, right? You want to book some of those gains. So sold and rolled, you'll often see that from option traders on X or from ones that you talk to. This is what they're doing. They're selling their option position, opening another one to still give them exposure to that directional move, but they're actually locking in their gains there because options can change so fast. I actually think this is a smarter way to do that. This is also, for some of you that trade smaller option lots, this is also another way for you to lock profit without selling half of your position. Sell the entire position, buy a contract that is a higher strike and a further out expiry, maintain that same exposure to that directional move, but then get the profit locked in behind. So I actually don't think this is a bad move at all, Jaxel. Amanda saying it's too early in the morning to try and find this feed now that it has a bull face instead of a Ryan face. I think that you're saying that my face is better than a bull's face. And so I'm going to go with that because that's better than the inverse. If I'm wrong, do me a favor and don't correct me. I'll see what
he's a bear anyway.
I'll see what we can do here about getting a better thumbnail for it.
And there is no try. I had a question also after Jaskell asking what companies stand to gain when deportations begin? Airlines, bus companies, U-Haul. We've been seeing already some and talking about some of those companies that are publicly traded that we stand to gain from that mass deportation. We're looking at prisons. We're looking at body cams. We're looking at tasers. We're looking at crowd control equipment. So stocks, Geo's going to be one. You're going to want to look at AXON. That's had some really good movement. They also had earnings just recently. One that doesn't really move that well, that's still kind of like a funny one that may end up getting some pretty good movement. It's getting good movement this morning. Is the Bolo Wrap? That's ticker WRAP.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's up 5%.
I mean, so that's wild. Let me actually reset this chart view. There we go. So one other thing to keep in mind here, what companies are going to be affected by not having as big of a pool to hire employees from. That would be another thing. So I know you're asking here for what companies are likely going to trade up based on that. There's also another direction to keep in mind. Some companies that might have relied on illegal immigrants might end up taking a hit with some of their profits, and a move down might be in play there. But anyway, that's something to consider here. I'm not involved in any of these trades here. Trading prisons, not really my cup of tea, but that's kind of what's going on there.
But those are the ones you want to look at.
Yeah. Let's see what else here. So we're almost open here. We're actually like 2 minutes till we open. Let's go ahead and flip back. Oh, you know what? I think someone earlier was asking about Monday. Monday.com, of course, reporting their earnings on Monday morning. Go figure. I don't know if they were doing that on purpose.
Oh, they totally did that on purpose.
You have to. I mean, if the setup's that good, don't you have to do that here? Monday looks like a beat on the top and the bottom line, down 17.5% here. Oh my. So big move. What happened with the guidance?
I bet it's I was going to say, I bet it's the guidance. Yeah. So the guidance disappointed.
Sure did. Here it is.
Expectation was 260.8. They guided revenue 260 to 262. So that's, kind of like in the middle of the road on the weaker end. There's probably a magic number that was, that investors were expecting for that didn't hit it. So
yep.
That's what I'm getting from this.
And then if we take a look here at the chart, how did this perform recently? Okay, so this ran into earnings.
Yeah, ran into earnings.
So that's the other thing that we're seeing here. When stocks run into earnings and then don't give you a great number or a little bit disappointing, they end up getting hit here. That's probably what happened on Monday. This actually looks like this. If this is the candle, this came right back down to that 268 level. This was a former breakout level.
Wow, this thing went right. Okay, so it went 1 penny shy of 325. So if you go and if you draw a line at 325 and you go back to like 2021, that was a big support level before it lost it. 325. You have to go to like a daily or a weekly to see what I'm talking about. But yeah, so 325, you draw a line. There you go.
That's right here. It's the top of this candle right here. Okay.
And we open.
We are open.
All right. So out of the gate here, I'm just kind of taking a look at some of those movers that I mentioned. PWM looks like that's slowly moving here. Reshaped Life Sciences doesn't look like that's doing a whole bunch. None of these look like they're doing a whole bunch at the open. I'll just have to wait. Downhound dropping. Might get support around 732. Let's see if we get that. Round 1 fight. Yes, ACHR getting active. That thing has been great. EV tolls. Oh, actually, this thing dropped out of the open.
ACHR?
Yeah, that was running up. It went up to 438 right before the bell happened. And
looks
now
like this. Oh, okay. Oh, my candles are spazzing here. I was going to say, it looks like it just pulled the VWAP and bounced, but my my candles were catching up here. Andrew Senior TV calling GVA
construction. Yep, this is one of the infrastructure plays that we had on our watch list. This thing blasting off. Let's see why. I think they had earnings, didn't they? They had earnings back on October 31st, so that's not what. Maybe it's blasting off after that. Phase 1 of the 425 million Mosaic quarter development in Tucson. I don't know what that project's about. Maybe somebody else in the chat does. All right. So NUWE says the crow.
HOVR getting mentioned here by Jacob in the chat here. This is another EV toll this right up to VWAP. We'll see if this can break above. I'm going to pass on this penny stock, but this is a decent mention nonetheless. NUWE looks like that pushed away from VWAP. You're still looking at a potential breakout here at 240. Looks like it teased that and came back in.
Looks like sound is trying to turn around here.
Hey, Jane.
Nice.
We're going to start Monday off with a register ring. I believe that you said last week, not your greatest week. Way to turn it around here early on Monday.
Absolutely.
Way to turn that around, Jane. Good stuff. LEDS, by the way, that's right at the VWAP. Coin pulling back here after that. Big move. What is Bitcoin actually doing? Let me take a look.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw a little bit of cooling. That thing has been going crazy all weekend. DJT having some movement out of the gate here as well.
Notice DJT was up this pre-market.
Yep. And pre-market, we twice we got up to 35.35 and we were rejected both times. So when we get to 35.35 on this movement here, let's see what happens. Might get another rejection.
There it is. I had 34.39 as the high print 13, but to your point, this is actually still getting rejected from that spot. So
no, 35.35.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, 30. I beg your pardon. I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay, so got some of that. Oh, look at NUWE. That thing's popping right now. 276 is the pre-market high there.
This was a good call. You guys that are trading NUWE, awesome stuff here. One ups around the board and ring that register.
Let's see here. ACHR going green now. And Looks like Rev B, that thing's back down underneath the dollar. Let's do this.
I'm just rolling through the list here. A lot of penny stocks on the list here. Top 3 stocks on the list here. Penny stocks. CONL. That's that levered coin ETF.
Am I still holding this?
Guys, sorry for interrupting there. DJT, nasty pull right back down to support. Sorry, 13.
No worries. I sold a lot of it on Friday. I was concerned about holding it over the weekend.
That's BITO, right?
Yep.
That he was asking about.
Yep. Just a little concerned with the way it was trading. So I just reduced my risk. And looks like PWM, that thing is just continuing to go down. That thing lost $1 as well.
ACHR looks like that dip got bought. That's trying to go higher here. Watch that 430 breakout, ACHR.
Yep.
Ryan and 13. Will we hit 85K for Bitcoin today? You know what? Let me ask the 8-ball.
I don't know about today, but I was looking at 90K by the end of the year.
Yeah, that seems. I think 100K actually seems in play here. All right, Lion, we're going to do this just for you. Just for you, we're going to ask the 8-ball. So, Magic 8-ball, will Bitcoin hit 85K today? Lion's asking. See what we got here. Oh, Lion, you're in good shape. I don't know if you can read that, but that says signs point to yes. Signs point to yes. So, Lion, your question, will Bitcoin hit 85K today? The 8-ball is on your side. It says yes.
Wedbush raised the price target of Tesla to 400, so guess where it's going?
400, currently at 349 on Tesla. Yeah. Let's take a look here at that Tesla chart. I wouldn't be shocked to see that roll.
Yep. Okay, so it looks like everything that Root just had a nice pop up to 86.54. Looks like PWM's trying to recapture $1. Foxo's rocking. Oh, it's halted now.
Okay, so that's the penny stock, FOXO, halted here. Tesla still trying to push up. Let's see if Tesla can break off that 350.
Did it actually halt? Looks like it's still trading.
FOXO?
Yeah.
I don't have it on the halt tool here. Yeah, this is this is definitely still trading. No, you're right. Sorry about that. I was
it's okay. Don't worry about it. Oh, DJT really falling now.
Tesla, the inverse of that, continuing to go here.
Archer kind of holding above VWAP here, consolidating a bit.
Yeah, TradeZero won't let me trade Foxo. That's can sometimes be part of the issue with some of those penny stocks. Totally get it. One of the reasons why I like to stay away from them.
BTBT, that's another Bitcoin play.
That was one of the ones that we mentioned here this morning.
Yeah.
Nick mentioning DraftKings here. Looks like DraftKings, a little bit of a dip right out of the open. So far is getting bought. This is trying to hang on right at VWAP here.
Okay, so what this traded up to the previous high that we had that we put in back in September out there. That's the next level to get past. Then we can get up to that 44 resistance from the trend line.
Tesla, so TSLR, this is your Granite shares, 2x levered Tesla ETF. This popping looks like Tesla is trying to go higher here. Remember, on Tesla here, that 350 area definitely seems to be one that's important. This, to my eye, sure looks like we're going to test this here today.
Jonathan Cooper mentioning CAN. This company also had a deal with CleanSpark, I recall, because this one makes the mining machines.
Yeah, and the recent news here today, Hive Digital, so that's ticker HIVE, by the way. Hive Digital Technologies boost Bitcoin mining capacity with one of these miners here. Ken had this as news here today. This stock's up 30% on the back of that news.
It's also a short squeeze.
There we go.
Also a short squeeze.
5+ days to cover. Not quite 10% of the float shorted there, but that's what's going on here with Can.
Still seeing Archer kind of trade between the VWAP and 430. No movement outside of that yet.
You guys are mentioning HIMS with a big pop. That was actually on our list here today. Indeed, that is continuing here on HIMS. Really good stuff. You can see we actually went right through that double top, Gary. Andrew. Right through that double top on HIMS. I'd be curious to know if it holds this and moves higher. Also, getting a mention here is ELF. It's another stock that we've been watching kind of a lot recently on this show here. ELF, nice little bounce. See if ELF can get to 136. 140 would be the next level here. Nice little move here on ELF.
Bitcoin almost to 83K. Chip stocks nosedive. Really? Let's take a look at TSM.
Block SQ, that was another one from my list here this morning. Remember, that had a new overweight rating at Piper and an $83 price target. Looks like this might be going there the same day as well. Block here up 6% on the back of that analyst rating.
Looks like SoundHound trying to turn around. Not sure if we're going to really get that or not.
SoundHound kind of a dip out of the open here. Look at INOD 44.
Yeah, I was just taking a look at that too.
Tesla making a move to that 350 area here on Tesla. Let's see if we get 350, huh?
Anthony's saying it looks like Tesla will rip to 360-ish, maybe. I mean, I still think we'll probably see 400 because that's just kind of the ridiculousness that we're in now. You know, where we get a price target and then it goes there in a day or two. All right, here we go with DJT. This one is coming back up, trying to recapture VWAP.
Okay, Tesla's still ripping there. Here's DJT.
Just wow, what a great turnaround on that one.
Kind of a nasty move there right out of the open, especially when it was flirting with VWAP. But just be careful on this DJT name.
Yeah.
LEDS, we talked about this one here, this moving right out of the open. NUWE, watch for this to maybe reclaim that VWAP.
Thank you, Glenn. DJT 3762 is the fibs play. That's just above my 3535. So we break that 3535. The next level I have above that is 3645, and then you'll have your 3762. So there's a few levels for you if you're playing DJT to the upside right now.
Okay.
As far as let's see, 360 and Tesla, I see what you're talking about. There's some consolidation right up in there. Maybe this goes a little bit higher. Maybe it pushes up to 365. But I see what you're saying. 360, 365. I like that area for resistance. It's a great spot.
Looks like it's kind of running into some resistance here at 350 on Tesla.
DJT is going to halt.
To the upside?
Yep. To the upside. And it's halted.
All right, there you go. DJT halted to the upside. We have the evil supervillain laugh from 13, so you know we're out here on a good Monday. Good stuff there.
It's just funny to see.
Canon here, ticker CAN, that took that net leg right up to 160. Looks like it's bull flagging up there, which would be sweet. What do you think of the Tesla call premiums? Those are pretty juiced, aren't they?
I would think they're going to be way too high. When we're getting this kind of strength, that's not really a time when I probably want to be getting into calls. But I defer to you, Ryan. You tell me if that's a better time or not. Because
well,
man,
just looking at them, I mean, the implied volatility here only 76%. Those can be, that implied volatility can be much higher. But if I'm looking at the actual call side, especially of like the December contract, the at the money or higher calls are all plus 100%. So I mean, like right now, if you're buying calls that are at or near the money, effectively what you're doing is you're chasing these huge moves. So I think that might be what you're asking. I think that might be what you're asking. You'd be chasing these calls here.
Yeah.
I'm with you, 13. I'd be waiting for a pullback here. I feel like if you were to chase one of these calls right now and the stock started to pull back, your position might get obliterated.
I feel like, I was going to say, I feel like everybody that owns Tesla stock is selling calls right now.
And look at it now. Tesla just printing to the downside. So this was 350 to 340 fast.
Yeah.
That happened real fast here.
That's just the feeling I have on what we're seeing here. I mean, if this is the move, like look at how much it's moved since the election. That's crazy movement. That would, if I was holding Tesla down there and this happened, I'd be definitely selling calls.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. 100%. Federico. Good morning, Federico. Come on, baby. Handprint. What is this handprint?
It's a wave.
This is just a wave? Okay. Well, that makes sense.
If I'm wrong, chat, let me know.
Yeah. I don't know. Which stock are you looking at, Federico? Which one are you watching there? Tesla giving up the move. This is pretty much right back to the pre-market area. If this breaks the pre-market area, you have a pretty decent range down to what, 330? Yeah, 330 here on a short side if we break this. We're right at that level. Let's see. SPY coming in a little bit. NASDAQ down. Let's take a look at the Qs here and see what, oh my goodness. Indeed. So Apple down, Amazon pulling back. How's Nvidia looking?
Probably about the same.
Nvidia pulling back. Would imagine TSM has something similar. We talked about both of these stocks here this morning.
They were down 3%. Yeah, still down 3%. Okay. Well, I mean,
let's see how much
of a pull we get. You know, I don't want to get all excited and say, "Oh, it's finally time." You know, we're finally getting
because how many times have we done that? How many times? You know what? I'm not even going to speak for you. I'm going to speak for myself. You know how many times I've made an early call? I mean, it's just I don't want to do it again. I'm with you on that.
Let's just temper expectations until we start getting some confirmation. But so far, so good.
And you know what? Looking at my swing portfolio here, which has predominantly small caps and not a whole lot of these tech names, I'm rocking today. So tech's pulling back here. Swing accounts going great. Not a whole lot of them are tied to Bitcoin either. So Andrew, I'm sorry, we cannot help you. We cannot help advise what you do with your positions. Also, you're mentioning a call spread here with no other information about it. I would just say, as far as Tesla goes, when you have a huge move like this, if I had, no matter what my position was, call spread, calls on their own, stock, when you have a huge move like this, you're never in bad shape kind of paying yourself on the way up. By the way, Tesla did hold this pre-market low and has now bounced 4 points off that pre-market low. Just reclaimed VWAP here on Tesla. Aren't we expecting DJT to open here pretty soon?
I mean, I don't remember what the timer was on that, but it's probably about due. Lunar Biggs says sideshow.
DJT open and lower.
Great job on that mention. But it's probably going to get bought right back up. It's at VWAP, my VWAP right now. So here's the battle on whether it's going to hold that or not. It's also at 3340, which is an area I've had as support and resistance. As a matter of fact, you can see how it was support in pre-market, and we lost it at the open. It's a bit wild there for me right now.
Sorry, I was rolling through some other tickers here. This popped out of that bull flag, went higher. 170 looks to be the target there on Can.
And somebody said something funny in here that I wanted to
Was it Florida Yacht Insurance guy saying good morning, y'all?
No, but good morning, Florida Yacht Insurance guy. No, Scapegoat saying that I've been asking for a SPY knife since 560. I've been looking for anything to kind of cool this crazy market off.
You're not alone, 13. Holy smokes.
So you're right about that. All right, DJT. Looks like we're trying to push higher now. Maybe still a sideways consolidation. Let's see if we can hold. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting that push. I was going to say, let's see if we can hold that 33.40.
DJT kind of all over the place here. Affirm pushing higher. 50 prints coming here on Affirm, guys. Hims, this rocketed out of the gate. So we talked about this one on a breakout here. Hims continuing that breakout to the upside.
This is wild to see the movement with Affirm, because remember how we were laughing about this thing getting cut in half and getting cut in half again?
Oh yeah.
Well, we're coming back up to a very interesting consolidation area with this. We're actually on the doorstep of that consolidation. We get into the 50 handle, and we're almost there. So a lot of this consolidation comes from back in 2021 when we were trading sideways. But that's what I'm looking for.
The craziest thing here with Affirm, I mean, obviously we've talked about buy now, pay later quite a bit. Amidst all of the talk that we had about Affirm, we had Tim Melvin literally swoop in here like a G, recommend Sezzle to the group on September. Okay, just to kind of set the stage for this, on September 18th, let me get my cursor there. Tim Melvin came on our show right here, September 18th. Sezzle was $150. We printed 455 post earnings here. This is known as the buy now, pay later giant. So this is an even a bigger outperformer than Affirm. And this was one of the biggest winners given out on this show yet. So I talked a lot of smack about Affirm. I was wrong about Affirm. It's going to be time for me to kind of make some money on the next trade on that one.
Yeah, that was the mother of all calls right there.
I traded, and you know what's funny about this one? I traded this one from 150 to 215, and I thought I was doing great. And here we are, 400 plus.
Jonathan Cooper saying Can ran to 39 on the 2021 bull run. You see, the thing that makes me concerned about looking at what happened in 2020 and 2021 is that we were in a bit of a different environment with people getting stimulus, people staying at home. There was a lot more eyes on the market. But everybody was trading the market, and you can see that when you look at the volume from then compared to now. We don't really have that same amount of people looking at the market. We don't have that stimulus. I don't know that Can's going to get up there. I don't want to say it can't, because then it would be CANT. But
I was waiting. I was like, he's going to make a joke here about the ticker, and I just need to figure out where it's at.
But to get to 39, I think that's going to require a lot more participation than what we have right now. So I think that's something that we need to temper our expectations, but not that can't get higher than this. It probably go well into the much higher than $2. But I think we need to be realistic about where this could end up.
Hims with absolutely no chill, just nothing but buying volume and green arrows out of the open here. This ripping to the highs. I'm starting to wonder here, especially after that tech pullback that looks like it's getting bought. IWM, okay, it's just kind of maintaining. It's the IWM anyway is not continuing to run. It's just maintaining higher here. Excuse me, 13. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec, go to the washroom. I'll be right back, okay?
All right. What are we looking at? Market makers learn from that as well. BTBT, what's that doing right now? Up 24%. Looks like it's starting to top out a little bit here. Let me look at my broker. So 540 was the high. As high as it got. Let me see if I can find some other levels here with this one. I'm sure it's going to have to be looking way to the left to see if I can find any levels. Okay, maybe not too far to the left. We're at 540, so if this thing continues to run, I'd like 650. That is a low from September 30th, 2021. That'd be an interesting level. Because we're this 541, that's a previous level as well. So we get through 540 and hold. I'd be looking at 650 in BTBT. Lunar and Sound down. Oh, they had some pretty good runs, especially Soundhound. That thing had a crazy run. And Lunar, I think that thing popped this morning, didn't it? Let's take a look and see what Lunar's
Which one?
doing.
Sorry, I'm back.
That's Lunar, LUNR. Just take a look and see what we got this morning here. Yeah, this one popped up to 1070, and it actually visited there 3 times. So we triple topped in the pre-market at 1070, and now we're coming back in. Look for 950 to provide some support. That's the next level down that I have. Tesla at fib level. Thank you for that, Glenn.
I wonder if Tesla takes 350 out here today. Take care of yourself, Nick. Hope you feel better. Thanks for your support here today.
Is this Nick that yeah, Nick.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Show those semis who's boss.
SMCI here not bouncing, just another down move here on SMCI. How low does SMCI go? 17 seems to be the consensus.
Yeah, because there's oh man, I can't believe we're actually going to get to that gap. That is, we're pretty close, folks. The gap begins at 1925 and fills at 1679. I think we're going there.
Lemonade, what a move. 16.5% here. Wist asking what's up with AZI, ticker AZI.
Take care, there is no try. I was just saying goodbye.
Yeah, nope. I was just saying.
Oh, okay. So recent IPO from this year, huh? AZI. Let's see what we got here. What is this company? China's leading and fastest growing lifecycle automotive service providers.
I wonder if this is moving up with some of that China stimulus.
That's a really good point. I think you might be seeing that, considering that China's heavily invested into the EV space.
Yep.
So much so that they're trying to destabilize the global market. So there's your answer with AZI. Jonathan Cooper saying that we're starting to get divergence in the SPY and RSP. So that is the SPY versus the equal weight.
Is that worth charting here? Here, let's do that real quick. Let's do SPY, RSP.
Yes, comp destabilize. You flood any product of any kind in the amount that they're pushing. It affects global economies, especially if they're trying to upend local automakers in different countries.
So with the SPY RSP divergence here, you're saying that the RSP is continuing higher and the SPY might be coming in a little bit? Is that the divergence that they were seeing? So those tech names that are weighted heavier are the ones kind of slowing down, right? Is what that actually means in English.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okie dokie.
That's right.
NUWE above its VWAP, flirting with that area there. We'll see if that's got the strength to go. CAN is taking its third leg higher here. Third leg higher.
Okay.
Dear Radnet.
I'm just trying to find something that looks like it's setting up.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of rolling through the list here. It's exactly what I'm doing. Dell looks like that gave back its gains. Tesla sitting right at VWAP. AMD. What's that doing here today? AMD lower.
Well, let's see if I can
we actually broke that trend line too. Interesting. 13. Remember you had me draw this trend line? That is still in effect here. AMD beneath it.
Oh, that looks bearish.
Yeah,
you go back to daily. You got that head. You got that head and shoulders. So you got that head and shoulders that we just had. Like, here, let me go to my own AMD chart so I can get the actual.
Yeah, I actually see two kind of in here. You got one right here. This looks like kind of broke down. Then you have kind of another one in here.
Yeah, that one from September to October. There's that one. And now we're getting that resolution. So we dropped off initially. It came for that back test. That's what we got just now. Looks like we could still go lower. So here's some downside levels, and I'll get to FOXO in just a second. If we start breaking down here, I'd be looking at 140 as support. That was a support level back in earlier this month.
Yep.
If we break out, then the 50-day SMA would be the first up. I'm not really too interested in the 20-day SMA right here. I think the 50-day SMA is the big one to watch for. Now maybe look at FOXO, because that was I was getting asked about levels for that.
Now FOXO, remember, we've talked about this one a number of times here today. This is the penny stock. It is moving, and it's actually going higher here. We'll see if it actually holds at the VWAP. I've got 85 as that level to break. 88, your actual day high there.
I have, so this stock is really messing with the 200-day SMA right now. It's actually lately, since the beginning of the month, it's been up here 3 times. First time it broke through got up to 106. Second time it got as high as 96 cents. And then today we actually went right up to the 200 EMA and have been rejected. So if we break out of this, let me just look at some levels here. I think you're gonna, that's a lot of consolidation. 120, I would say, would be the first spot of resistance, because there's consolidation from about 92 cents to 120. There's consolidation there. That would be the big area of supply that has to shoot through first. But 120 looks like a good early spot on the higher side of that consolidation. So 120, and then after that, 170. That's if we break out of $1 in FOXO.
RX, good call here. This is breaking out here. This actually above its pre-market highs as well. You take a look at the daily chart here where RX is. If you can get through this consolidation in 8, higher we go here. Probably a 10 test coming.
Getting asked if PLTR ever stops. It will.
It doesn't, though. Just FYI, it will at some point, but it has here 60 prints on Palantir. 60 prints. Oh man, oh man. It's just, I mean, it's crazy. This has been such a huge winner for our community, though, recently. Just been such a huge winner. Really, really good stuff. Okay. Speaking of good stuff, it is 10 o'clock, and it's 10 o'clock on a Monday. You folks know what that means. It's time for Matt Malley. Let's bring him on. All right, Matt. Happy Monday. How are you? Look, I'm just going to say this right now. We're just going to get through it real quick. Take your shots about the Patriots and the Bears, and let's just get it over with.
Oh, I'm not sure what you're talking. Oh, the game yesterday. Hey, 3 points. That off. I got to tell you, the Patriots are not a good football team, and to watch the Bears play was a little shocking, to be honest with you.
If it was a little shocking to you, Matt, I can report boots on the ground here in Chicago. It is full-blown crisis mode. There are some people that haven't slept. There are some people out there with pitchforks and Matt Eberflus head on the top of it. Matt, it's bad news, man. It is bad news. I don't even know what to make of it.
Yeah, well, it's and they better turn things around fast. They got the tough schedule coming up. So
yeah, I don't think so. Go Lions. That's where we're gonna go from this point. That's how I'm gonna bail on it, Matt. Anyway, all that aside, thanks for joining us here today. Interesting weekend there. What do you make here with where the market's at here today? We're seeing more green arrows across the board. I know we've come in a little bit from the pre-market highs, SPY above 600. What do you think here going forward?
Yeah, it was kind of, and it's interesting that the NASDAQ or the NDX anyway is down a little bit, down slightly, not a lot, but down slightly. But so it's kind of a surprise. But the euphoria surrounding the Trump election, not only just the Trump election, but the fact that the GOP won the Senate and looks like they're going to win the House. Everybody's talking about a mandate and therefore deregulation, lower taxes, etc., especially for businesses, has got the market really jumping. And of course, all the money flows are just getting piling on top of this. I'm a little concerned that the euphoria is getting too much. But when it happens at the end of the year, these things can feed on itself. So, I do have this big concern still about the Middle East. But if that doesn't become, if that doesn't blow up, which I think it actually will, I just don't see how Israel is going to let Iran become a nuclear power. And this is their chance to make sure that doesn't happen. But if unless that happens, you have, again, fear of missing out. You have performance fear. All these institutional players, if they think let's say they think that this is a complete head fake, this is a disaster, they think next year is going to be a horrible year. Doesn't matter. Even if they think that, they've got to keep buying if the money comes in, because the market's running and they have their bonuses to think about. They have their the marketing for their funds. I mean, if they start suddenly lagging because they think, I don't believe this rally. No, I mean, I guess my point is, all those guys who say they're long-term investors on the institutional side of things, they become short-term investors at the end of the year because they need to keep up with a rallying market. Again, that's assuming the market is rallying, and that's what it's doing right now. So unless we get some sort of a big hiccup out right here, it's tough to. It's really tough to fight the tape.
Go ahead, get in there, 13.
I was curious with the comments on Middle East, because on Friday, it looked like Qatar finally agreed to kick out Hamas and be done with the mediation for a ceasefire there. So, kind of curious, do you see that really developing into a positive for Israel and the U.S. On that, or is this something that could really lead to a wider conflict?
I don't think it. I've been saying for a long, long time, the issue really has very little to do with Gaza and very little to do with Lebanon, and very little to do with Hamas in Gaza or Hezbollah up in Lebanon. What this has to do with Iran's belief that they cannot, their ability to exist will be badly hindered by Iran becoming a nuclear power. They have everything in set up right now to go ahead and they have the justification to do it, to go in and attack their ability to become a nuclear power. I mean, again, they're new nuclear facilities, and I think it's almost impossible for them to hit their nuclear capabilities without hitting their energy facilities. It's basically impossible, just because of the logistics. They're so close to each other in many cases. And so I guess my point is, for anyone to believe, and again, maybe this will happen, but for anyone to believe that this thing will calm down, you also have to believe that Israel is okay with Iran becoming a nuclear power. That's just something I don't believe that they're okay with. And so that's still a very big concern for me. Now, the Israel waited until after the election. Will they continue to wait? Because they definitely, to really get into these, I mean, they need these specific, I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but to get it, they don't have the weapons to go in and get the underground facilities without U.S. Weapons. U.S. is the only one who has these weapons that can go down deep into the ground to do some serious damage. So if the Biden administration says you're not going to get that help on our watch, maybe they have to push a little bit longer. But they're going to do it. I mean, my belief is that they're going to do it because if they don't do it now, it's going to be much, much harder to do it at any time in the future. So I think it's a real possibility. Stock market obviously thinks otherwise. It's starting to come in a little bit more, but that's just one day. Mm-hmm. So I do believe it's a real threat. And from what I understand, now again, the people where I'm reading this is from very legitimate places. But at the same time, they're admitting, I mean, that they're not sure, but it's like Wall Street Journal, other places saying their understanding is that President Trump, or former President Trump, future President Trump, has told Netanyahu, do what you got to do. I'm okay with it. He would rather have it happen before he gets into office, but supposedly he's supporting him, Netanyahu, and I strongly believe Netanyahu believes that his real goal is to take out, or at least to badly set back Iran's nuclear capabilities.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Also, two more things that I wanted to ask you about here real quick, Matt. Number one, we're seeing a huge move here in the weekend in Bitcoin, or over the weekend in Bitcoin here. I know you had talked about that maybe being tied to Trump here. Do you make anything of the Bitcoin move? We're actually seeing Bitcoin trade up. We're seeing gold come in a little bit. Do you make anything of that?
Well, the thing with Bitcoin is it's getting overbought. But so what? It's only getting somewhat overbought. I guess my point is it got to a similar overbought condition. I think it was in March, and then sure enough, it fell, or was it the summer? And it fell 20%. But I'm sorry, it was over the summer where it got about as overbought on its RSI chart as it is now. The problem is that in March and at the end of last year, it didn't top out until it got much more overbought than it is today. The euphoria on this is unbelievable. I mean, you'd almost think that like the number one issue Trump was running on was Bitcoin, which certainly wasn't the case. But the money is piling in. They got over $2 billion flowed in on Wednesday and Thursday of last week. And with this push above 80,000, I've got to think that the flow of money will continue to come in, from individual investors and such. So my point is that, I guess we have to be a little bit careful because it's getting overbought, somewhat overbought, especially on its Bollinger Bands chart. You look at the weekly Bollinger Bands; it's no more than 2 standard deviations above its 20-week moving average. But this is a kind of thing. This is the kind of asset that frequently needs to get extremely overbought before it tops out. So I would be very reluctant to take profits for those who own it. I guess my point is I wouldn't chase it aggressively, but those who are buying it, it's okay to still buy it. But be careful. I guess is my point. At some point in the next month or so, it's going to be we're going to see that thing pull back in a decent way. But telling somebody it's going to happen in the next month or so isn't very helpful in an asset like this. Could go to 90,000 or even 100,000 before that happens. So it's this breakout above the March highs, the all-time highs, is definitely bullish on a technical basis. Yep. It's got also some flows going with it. So right now, you just can't fight it. You just can't fight it.
I'm with you on there. My personal target here for Bitcoin is 100K. I think we probably print that here as long as everything kind of holds up. Last really quick question. We'll get you out of here on this, Matt. You've talked before about some of the China stimulus. We had a $1.4 trillion package go off there. Doesn't look like it really did a whole lot, maybe not enough. What are your thoughts here on some of these Chinese names with that stimulus package?
I do think it's going to be a good play eventually. And when I say eventually, I don't mean 6 months from now. I think it will work out. I mean, what part of the reason I think why they came out with this thing is they didn't want to make it look like, they're very careful about how they look to the world. And they didn't want to look weak by saying, oh, we're panicking because Trump just got elected, so we're going to plow in this major stimulus. They don't want to look weak with Trump coming into office. So they put it off a little bit. They did do the stimulus to help their local governments, regional governments. But at the same time, even though they don't want to look weak near term, they also don't want to look weak longer term by letting their economy fall much further. So I think they are going to use a bazooka blast because if they don't, they're going to look very weak, especially off of the hoopla they made, a month or two ago. President Xi does not want to look weak with Trump coming into office, and I think that before too long, I think within the next couple of weeks, before the end of the year, they will announce a much bigger. They say it's going to be after the end of the. I think it's going to be before the end of the year. The implementation may not come until after the year, but I think some of these names are starting to go. We got to be nimble here. We don't want to be too aggressive too quickly. But I do think we're getting into a time frame in the next couple of weeks where we're going to get some real good buys in stocks like Alibaba and some of these other names.
Okay, really, really good stuff there, Matt. Thanks very much. For those of you that want to trade with Matt or want access to all of Matt's trades, I went ahead and posted a link to the Universe webinar in there. Please join us. Matt, thanks again so much. Thank you so much for your time. Go ahead, 13.
I said, thanks, Matt.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, talk to Rodrigo if you want to join us in the chat room. There's a lot of things going to be going on between now and the end of the year and beyond.
And Matt is extremely active and extremely tactical. Matt, thanks again for your time. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week, okay?
You too, guys. We'll see you then.
Take care. That is Matt Malley. If you're interested in any of the services that we offer here, Webinar Universe Universe webinar, link in the chat. Go ahead and check that out. We'll have someone on board you. Matt is awesome and very, very generous with his time. Okay, let's go back to the trading here. 13, what did I miss? I saw that you were mentioning Archer there. We still trading up here on hit
a new high. Yep.
ACHR. Almost fumbled the tickers there. New high there on Archer. Okay, good stuff. Let me roll through some of the list here. I noticed you guys were mentioning G Pro earlier as well. CERO, this is above the VWAP. Looks like all these penny stocks kind of dying out here a little bit. AMPX, this is looking pretty good. Bitcoin names still running here. So I know we just talked about Bitcoin. Bitcoin at the highs here now, 83,700 on the futures. That's slash BTC here. Looks like the Bitcoin stocks are responding to that. Mara higher here. Let's take a look at Coin. This is one that I actually probably should have just traded right out of the open. Coin. Okay. So Coin actually holding 300 here and now reversing. Let's see if we get 320 prints on Coin. LEDS holding in here. HIMS, this did a VWAP test and came back. Let's see if it takes out 28. Square, we talked about this one on the back of that upgrade here. Square rolling higher here, $80. Rolled up my SOUN. Great job, Jessica. I know you were talking about that earlier. So you still have exposure. You still have some of your gains locked in. You actually were given a pretty decent opportunity on this move back down here on SOUN. Hopefully this keeps running. Jay Rice, good morning. It's great to see you here this morning. Hopefully you're doing well and had a great weekend. So frustrated that CLSK cannot benefit from the... Oh, are we resumed? Look, ask and you shall receive.
Oh, wow.
CLSK
Finally
is open. Look at that, 13. Literally, while we're on the show here, open. This is up 17% here now. This now printing some of those highs here, CLSK, with this Bitcoin move. Wow, that was really good timing. Really, really good timing, honestly.
Yeah, Archer, you over... Well, it was over 440 a second ago there.
Bitcoin touched 83K. Indeed, it did. And again, on the futures, so the Bitcoin futures chart, I have a high print, an all-time high print, 83,825. 83,825. So giddy up. Bitcoin is rolling here.
I don't want to chase Bitcoin, but I'm just waiting for something else to set up here. NUWE, this thing has been sideways for a while, still not able to get above VWAP.
Danielle, I love how quickly things change in this business. So frustrated. Look at this comment. So frustrated, yep. CLSK cannot benefit from the Bitcoin movement. Next comment. Yes, in all caps. Let's go, Danielle. That's exactly what we wanted to see here. Really good stuff. Jonathan, really good stuff. BTBT getting mentioned by Izzy. Is that ripping here too? Yes, it is right here up at the highs. This was actually a decent pullback to VWAP and a move higher as well off that. Awesome stuff.
OS, Joby.
Yeah, I literally just clicked on those two tickers. You must have been staring at my screen.
No, I was looking at your screen. Yep. I just don't know I just don't know where I should be looking right now because it seems like everything's just all about Bitcoin at the moment.
It does seem like that.
What's Tesla doing at the moment right now? Oh, also I was taking a look at Zim. That one actually came down to a support level. I have a support level of 2380. So see if we get a bounce there.
All right. Jay Rice giving us a new one here. Ticker ODD. This is Oddity, isn't it? Oddity Tech. Yes, here we go. Oddity Tech. Bought a little on the dip. Nice ad there today. This is an interesting AI name. Went public around the same time as ALAB, Reddit, Kava. Perhaps a bit more looking for catch up. High short interest. Okay, so you're looking, this is indeed high short interest. That almost 33% of the float shorted. 25 days to cover here. That's of course based on average volume. Good mention there, Jay. This does look like it's got some high short interest. So you're basically saying, you listed some of the other names there. You're saying that this one just really hasn't had that upside move like some of those others have, and you're looking for that to maybe kind of close the gap. Okay, decent stuff there. Ticker ODD. This is not one I'm familiar with. I will go into this though. Consumer tech platform that is built to transform the beauty and wellness market. Those are big markets right now. Its brands include Spoiled Child and IL Maquillage. I am not familiar with any of those.
Clean Spark heading to 17.
Clean Spark, grats to anyone that traded that. I just scalped that right out of the open there because it clearly had the juice. I think I made 21 cents on that pop. Oh, wow, this took a lot more. It's went a lot higher here. Awesome. CLSK going 1706 is a level that I had from a previous pre-market channel. It looks like we're going right to that level here. Looking around. Sorry for the dead air here.
Yep.
You okay, 13?
Yep. Just typing response and trying to find something to trade.
RXR. I will say there's not a whole lot of trades today. There are some nice moves here. Smoke Tuna mentioning RXR. This was a nice move if you got it here. 760 was the ad zone. But kind of like what 13 is saying here, I don't see great setups here. I traded that momentum scalp. Kudos to you on the GME here. The kitty would be having a better day if he didn't sell Chewy at 25. That must mean Chewy is going here today. I did notice that was on the relative volume scan. Oh my God, Chewy, let's go. Chewy, a potential breakout here too.
GME, CLSK pulling a little bit.
I don't see anything really.
No, just kind of waiting for some of this to cool off. It would seem. I mean, everything's just it's like all the Bitcoin stuff is just taken off, and everything else seems to be really falling.
ALGS here. This went higher and halted. This is out of the halt and coming in a little bit. That looked like just a volatility pause. I don't see anything else here driving that on ALGS. There goes Affirm, says AJ. Good morning, AJ. Great to have you back here. Affirm, man, you know what? I wonder if this is moving also with. Look at this. Look at this on Affirm. Well, I shouldn't have even taken this. These pullbacks to VWAP, great entry here. Yep, these are new highs, Jay. This is right. Nice little break of that recent area right in here on Affirm. And actually, real quick, while we're on the subject there, let's take a look at our good old friend Sezzle. This is actually still holding up here. It looks like it's down almost 2% here today, but after the move last week, that's not even really a big deal. Sofi getting mentioned by Izzy. We talked about that one here. That has recently been trading up to, it's actually been on a nice run recently. Sofi up another 10% here today. Really good move again. Okay, so some good moves in here. Setup's not great for day trading, but the moves, they were great. Looks like those are still continuing here. Someone else mentioned Reddit earlier today. We ought to check in on Reddit. 136. Kava. How's Kava doing here? Up another 1% here on Kava. Oh my God, this was even higher in the pre-market. This was 150 in the pre-market. 150 plus. Wow. The Crow, we love arbitrage. Yeah, I bet you do. Cigna Humana arbitrage in effect. That's going to be ticker CI and ticker HUM that Mike is mentioning. Mike, by the way, good morning. It's great to see you here. I hope you had a great weekend. CI actually holding higher here. News here, Cigna shares are trading higher if the company confirmed it's not pursuing a combination with Humana. Here is your Humana chart, ticker HUM. This actually bounced right out of the open. We might even retest some of these lows here. 265 stocks currently at 275. We take a look at the daily chart here on Humana and back out a little. You can see how rough this thing has been. This thing was a $500 stock for a while. Here we are, about 274. We might actually roll over here.
Soundhound had a big drop at the open and turned around, and it's been going straight up ever since. Might run into some resistance around 150, though. There's a lot of size there.
Okay. Jay Rice mentioning ELF. That DDD bet on ELF had some wide swings. Indeed, it did. Okay. Indeed, it did. His timing was ridiculous. This basically was what I was looking for here, right? This 100. I thought we were going to retest this 100. So that came in right around here, right? Traded up here. He clearly won the bet. But it really didn't break out. It kind of gave it up, and then it sure looked like we were going to test that 100 and break it. And the buyers stepped in and said, nah, son, that's not what we're going to do. And since that break of 100, we actually did print beneath 100. That was on Wednesday, November 6th, the day after the election. Since then, this stock has been a face ripper. 32 points to the upside here on ELF. This thing just absolutely crazy. We actually traded up, tested the 500-day, backed off of it, then blew through it the day afterwards. I wouldn't be shocked to see this print 162 and get back up to your 200-day. This thing clearly has some upside momentum. RSI here at about 69. Nice. We'll see if it's able to get overcooked or maybe take a break here. Kyle Gaming. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Kyle. It's great to see you here. Do you mind going over your parameters for scanning daily movers for potential trades? Absolutely. I'd be happy to go over that with you. It's actually a fairly simple strategy that I do to kind of reset every day, Kyle. First thing that I'll do is using Benzinga Pro, I'll use the movers tool to scan for any stocks that are gapping. And then I will cross-reference those gapping stocks with any type of news that they have. So, for example, PWM here this morning, this $1 stock, they had news on Friday after hours that was driving this stock higher in the pre-market. You can see based on the chart here, we reviewed some of that news, opted not to trade this one. So I'll use the mover scanner to trade for gaps. I'll look at what stocks have gaps. I'll compare that to the news that the stock has and determine if that is going to be in play for the rest of the day. And then once the market actually opens, here is the scanner that I'm using. And I'll click on custom so that this is easier to see. These settings here, very, very simple. Minimum volume filter of 600,000. This is basically just to ensure that I'm going to have enough liquidity to day trade the stock. The change percent across the rolling 1 minute window is 0.2 to the positive direction. Basically, I'm looking for stocks that are trading up. I'm a long bias trader, not a short bias trader. And then the crux of this scan is your intraday RVOL 5M30D. And the value here is 3. So in English, this means only identify stocks that are trading at 300% their intraday relative volume. So this, generally speaking, is going to find any one of these stocks that has big outsized moves here. You can see this penny stock zero that a number of people were mentioning. The volume here is going to keep this on the scanner pretty much all day. HIMS, this was another one that we talked about. Relative volume scanner caught this one right out of the open here, especially on a move through 25. So let me know if this is helpful for you. Let me know if you need those stats again. All of the scanning that we do here through Benzinga Pro.
So I was reading the information from Jonathan Cooper here regarding Samsung.
Okay. What's going on with that?
Oh,
or if you're still figuring out, no worries.
Well, I mean, what's the ticker for Netlist? Because the only other way I think to play this would be with Samsung, and that would be through ETFs, unless there's a ticker for Netlist. NLST, perfect. Thank you.
That Bitcoin move continuing here, 84,400, the high on the futures chart. That actually continuing to trade to the upside. Netflix is higher. Apple is lower. How's Nvidia doing? Let me check in on NVDA. Nvidia here holding lower. Mara's flying. Yeah, we're not surprised to see that line. Mara, Riot, Coin. How's MSTR doing? I checked on that in the pre-market. This took another leg up here. So this flagged a little bit right out of the open. Bang, another leg higher here. MSTR. Palantir, there's just no chill here in Palantir. Look at this thing, 61. Can we all just take a moment and say, thank gosh we weren't short from the high 20s? How about that? Let's just go back and just, what a move here. We were talking about this from that high 20s. We were talking about it. We had Anne-Marie give a trade. I feel like everyone in this chat is in some way, shape, or form following or connected to Palantir. Now 61 prints. I mean, at some point this thing is going to come back in, but good Lord, for all of you that were long Palantir, I hope you're having a great year. This is the type of trade that can make your year.
Okay, so that net list idea that Jonathan was bringing up, that's actually pretty interesting. And it seems like he's referring to a catalyst with the company having a lawsuit against Samsung. So tell me, Jonathan, are you looking at the announcement of the trial commencing as a catalyst, or once we get the ruling? I would imagine that the ruling is probably what we want to pay attention for, and you're kind of just putting this on our radar. But tell me what the thought is here, because this is interesting. Well, it was because it was extended, Amanda, and you're just trying to protect yourself. It seems to run up into the ruling. Okay.
Here's what I'll say about this. We all have those. Like I said, Amanda, we had the one and only Tim Melvin give us Sezzle at 150, and I hit that from 150 to 215 and was like, I'm doing great. Sezzle printed 450 the other day. So that's just how it goes sometimes. That's just how it goes.
And Jonathan, I noticed that with NLST, they also had some other suits that they recently won. So what's the timeline for these suits once they are, commence? You're saying that they might. This one's going to start. Okay, this one's going to start tomorrow, and then what's the timeline like for that? For the announcement of ruling. Certainly is, Robert. Yeah, now it's Mega Super Ultra extended. Lunar looks like it's trying to get back above the 65 EMA. It just needs a little bit and a little bit more volume as well. But currently looking to push above that. That would be a break over 620. I'm sorry, 1020. GME looks like that one's trying to come back up to 2667, current intraday high. CLSK, that one looks like this one's flagging. It's about ready to break out, it looks like. Just watch for expanding volume, see if we get that. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. I'll look at stock twits. So anything else going on besides this run here in Bitcoin?
Virgin Galactic blasting off.
Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ.
No, huge move here.
This is one of the ones I had in my space watch list. I'm just gonna put that list in here because there's a lot of really great names in there.
AZI breaking above 3. I think we talked about that one earlier. 3 was a spot there. Because they're already mentioning all those Bitcoin names.
All right.
INOD 45. Wow.
Things are super extended now.
Yeah, they are. But and so one of the other things that we've talked about, the market, in terms of selling off, really kind of waits till everyone is on the same side so it can inflict as much pain as possible. Maybe we're getting to that. Maybe we're getting to that point where everyone is at a euphoric stage and the market can finally come back in. Where we're at now, I have a very tough time thinking that any type of significant sell-off happens prior to the new year, but been wrong before. There you go on the space watch list. Good stuff there, 13.
And I'm looking at this watch list, and there's only one thing that's down. Well, technically two, but only Black Sky Technology is down. Everything else is roaring. You have Redwire, that's up almost 12.5%. Rocket Lab, you guys have been talking about already, that's over 10%. Virgin Galactic, that's now up 20%. All these other names also doing decent. And some of these are real companies.
Chris saying, I don't think we've hit euphoria yet. Yeah, I don't think we've hit the top end of that. We're definitely in some type of euphoric move right now, but I agree with you. I don't think we're at the top end of that. By the way, someone mentioned AMD earlier here today. AMD, definitely some outsized weakness here. Sold off to the 145. We're right back. This is on watch for a red-green move here. And if we take a look at the daily chart here, you can see the trend line that we drew here on AMD. We're actually trading above it. So would love to see it close above that trend line.
Okay.
Did we have any recent news on AMD that I'm missing? No. Okay.
No, it's probably just the sector weakness, and then it comes back in from buyers.
Yep. Dan Zimmerman, good morning, Dan. Great to see you. GME could run. It did pop earlier. Where are we at with this? Yes, did pop earlier. Okay, we're right here back at the highs. Let me try and get my shading back here. We're right back here at the highs. Let's see if GME moves. You could be right here, Dan.
Looks like CLSK is also trying to resolve as well, looking for a break over 17.
Here you go, Robert. Fear and Greed Index 69. So greedy, but not euphoric yet. So that actually holds true with what Chris was saying. Excuse me. Gosh, Ryan, I think the market runs up till after Jan 20th. Once Trump policies kick in, should see a short-term pullback followed by bigger highs. Voodoo, that sounds exactly. I could totally see that scenario happening. Wouldn't be shocked at all. By the way, AMD continuing to trade up here. I know we just took a look at that. That's continuing to go to highs. GameStop did break its intraday high. That's going higher here.
Watching
at the level 2 here on GameStop, not a whole lot above it. Sorry, 13.
Watching Soundhound try to push up. Looks like it's going to try and get up to 750. There's a big wall there if it does, but I don't know if it's going to break out of that wall or not. But it certainly looks like it's setting up to try and get up to 750.
CLSK calls getting bought. CLSK might actually try to put in new highs here.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to try and break over 17. That's what it looks like.
Yep, sure does.
Webcoin FTFT. That is another Bitcoin name. There's an old mover from back in 2020, 2021 when Bitcoin was hot. Joby to 6 wouldn't surprise me. Archer hit the 460 spot. It looks like. Actually, this is at the top of my trend line. So we might see some pullback from Archer if. Let
me bring that up here real quick.
That trend line.
Nice move, though, Archer, man. I'll take it.
That trend line, if you are interested in drawing a trend line, you would have to draw it from the high of December 2023 through the high of July this year and keep going. And you'll see that that's where we're at now. So we start with the December 2023 high.
Yeah.
December. There you go.
Yep. Hang on a sec.
Draw it through that high.
Yeah, I think my internet is lagging. But anyway, there we go. There's your trend line. We are right at that trend line.
Yep. So
Actually,
either we're going
that
to
at 466 for whatever that's worth. I just eyeballed it though.
no problem. So looking to see if we, maybe either break over that and come back in, or come back in and then push over that. But it seems like this is going to be a spot where we're going to get resistance for a period of time, maybe matter of days, unless it breaks out sooner than that. If we do get a breakout, 520 is the level I'm watching for on ACHR.
Real quickly here, CLSK, looking at this, 1678 has some size, and then 1680 has some more size. So it does look like this 1678 to 1680 level needs to fall for this to go higher here.
That's probably going to do it pretty soon here. It's going to blast through 1680.
Yeah, here we go. It's going to run right into this. Let's see here.
They are really bringing in the orders.
Here, I had Archer on screen. I didn't even realize. Let me go back to that CLSK. Shoot, didn't have it here. Yeah.
HC Wainwright reiterates a buy on Sava.
Watch this 1679, 1680 level on CLSK. I think you're going to get a test right here. I can go to Sava right after this. They took some of it. They didn't take it all, though. 1680's got a little trailer left. Watch if this goes. This might break.
They chunked it big.
They chunked it. There we go. See if we go higher here. 17 would be a possible breakout spot.
Yep. That is.
I see a little bit more size there at 1690. CLSK.
Wellness Matters asking if AMD getting the TSMC money. You mean? I guess I'm kind of curious. I think I know what you mean. Are they going to be getting the business that TSMC was getting, but now because of the restrictions that they're going to get, that they're going to eat TSMC's lunch? Is that what the thought is here? I don't necessarily think that's the case. TSMC is the only one with the capability of making 2 nanometer chips, and 3 nanometer, I believe, as well. There's other. If it's going to go to anybody else, I would think it would go to Broadcom. That would be my guess. I don't know that they would go to AMD first.
Grouch of Wall Street, this is a good question here. For those holding Bitcoin, if it hits 100K, are you holding or selling? So I am exactly one of the people you're asking about. I am a hodler. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin when it was like 6,200, and I said, I'm just going to hold this for a while and see how it goes. I am not selling if we print 100K this year or next, frankly. We'll see where Bitcoin goes. I'm not at the end of my 10-year time horizon yet.
CLSK, we were on a doorstep of 17. There's a big old amount of bids at 1689. If that keeps rising, that could chew through all the asks.
There we go. This was a great call here on CLSK. I think this would be a trim spot here based on that initial entry. BCG, by the way, Wiss, I know this really kind of happened fast here. Wiss mentioning BCG. This is open, popped 450 into another halt. My goodness.
It seemed like
Brian is holding out for Kathy's 500K price on Bitcoin. Well, I mean, yeah. We'll see if it. We'll see where Bitcoin goes. I mean, I literally put $350 into Bitcoin and I spread it across 3 different coins. So it is what it is. It's still a 10x though on that. Still a 10x so far.
CLSK polling after getting close to 17.
Okay, so we pretty much had that one flagged. We had those levels flagged out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty hot right now. The Bitcoin.
Yep.
Trimming makes total sense to me.
Sure does. Sure does.
Hover, cup and handle. Let's take a look.
NTLA, one of those gene editors, having another good day. This is actually coming up off the bottom on NTLA.
For hover, I guess I would need to know what time horizon. Oh, probably the daily. That looks more like a rounding bottom, and I think really the difference is just going to be on the placement. But because this is at the bottom of the recent price action in the past, it could even be, you could even call this a double bottom if you want to include the December 2022 low. So it looks like it could be bullish. What I would want to see is this thing to recapture the 200-day SMA. That has been the big moving average that it has been having the worst time getting over. It's had popped over it once in May. I don't know what the
sorry, which ticker 13? I'll bring it up on screen here. I was goofing around.
HOBR.
Oh, this is a penny stock. Okay.
Yeah, just a penny stock. Don't even remember what this did. Electric hybrid, vertical takeoff and landing. So it's another EV tool. I don't know enough about this one. I haven't looked at anything. If Archer and Joby move, this will probably end up moving with it, and that's about all I can really say. The chart looks interesting. I need to know more about this company to feel better about trading it. Did I just look at the wrong chart? Was I getting the wrong information on the wrong chart here?
I can't tell you, man.
Because that's what I've noticed sometimes. Like the chart will not switch over to the ticker I'm looking at. Okay, so let me backtrack here because I'm looking at a different chart now. This one looks like it has based, and the rejection of the 50-day SMA, not great. I'll go back to what I said earlier. Is whenever Joby and Archer moves, this is likely going to move with it. Other than that, I don't know what is driving this company. Don't have any information on it. Financials don't look great. Look like they're about to do raise some cash soon. I don't know what the thought here is, other than hey, it's going to probably move with the EV tools. So I couldn't give you more of that. I mumble advice. I'll try to speak more clearly. All right.
I thought that Ryan should be in the next thumbnail. Apparently, we have a big bull thumbnail here, but I'll take that. You guys have said a lot of very nice things about that, so I appreciate you.
Looks like Lunar still wants to try and get over that 65 EMA. Just needs some expanding volume. A lot of things really slowing down here. A lot of stuff that we were trading just kind of turning around, going lower. Boxo looks like this one's trying to get back above VWAP at the moment. But
Lunar so far is holding 10 here. You're right about that. Tom, I can appreciate this. I laughed at my son when he told me to buy Bitcoin at 9,000. Now he's been laughing at me ever since. That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. That is the way the cookie crumbles. You know how many times I was told that Bitcoin was dead by people that thought I was stupid for investing $350 in it? They're like, yeah, Bitcoin's dead. And I'm like,
you probably got a lot of that in 22.
Brian Thomas saying, you guys do a really great job. I've been listening to you guys for a couple of weeks. You're really helpful. Brian, this means a lot to both of us. The call to action that I would have after that is, what can we do to be more helpful to you? We're always looking for that. I appreciate it. Brandon saying, for sure, you guys are the absolute best for beginners. And I would put the same call to action out to you. What can we do better? What do you want to see after that beginning step is done? Where should we go after that? The SBF bottom was around 15K. That was a buy, wasn't it, Jay?
Yeah.
Woo.
I have Bitcoin at the bottom was 15,461 and 56 cents on November 20th, 2022. That was the time to buy.
Matt, I can appreciate this a lot. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is talk a little bit more about what the indices are doing. Matt, this is really good. This is really good feedback. I try to do that, and sometimes, especially when a whole bunch of other things are happening, I just lose sight of it. So you're right. I will definitely make a better chance. I will make more of an effort at doing this. Excuse me. Speaking of which, just kind of talking about some of the indexes, we'll take a look at the tradable ETFs here because that's what we're doing. SPY here holding on to green. Remember, we were up in the pre-market, gave a lot of those gains back, but we haven't broke down yet. The Qs probably had the biggest move of the day here. This is still red, but barely, still looking for a red-green move here. And IWM, which seems to be leading the way to the upside, is still indeed leading the way to the upside. This is actually even more of a leader than the Dow.
Jay Rice, that's a great point because I think it was that, and then the bank run didn't happen until March the next year. But that's interesting because the Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank going bust, I think that really created a lot of distrust in the entire banking system, and that's when we started to see that rotation back into Bitcoin. That's what you're talking about, right, Jay Rice? Seems like that was the case because I do remember that was when we started to see those banks, falter, and then the real big run came on in March of 23. Yeah, Brandon. Well, you can tell Brandon Ryan about the different programming we have on here.
Sure. You guys have content outside of the live day trading. I'd love to see some breakdowns when it's not as chaotic or jumping around. So yeah, so we do. So I don't know if you're asking about me and 13 specifically. I'll start with that. 13 and I are both regulars on the happy hour program. That is exclusive to Benzinga Pro members. So you have to be a paying Benzinga Pro member in order to be in that. As far as the actual video team here, yeah, we do a lot of breakdowns on some of those earnings in the afternoon. You should always check out the Benzinga stream. It's pretty much me in the morning and then me and 13 in the morning. But in the evening, we'll sometimes carry Fed press decisions around midday. And then we'll also have streams on different earnings days. We also have events, virtual events, and all types of stuff. So there's tons of content here on the Benzinga channel. The one that you're going to get every day is going to be the morning show, Benzinga Market Edge, that starts at 8 a.m.
Well, BGC keep churning says easy Mike.
BCG, is that a ticker?
BGC. Sorry, I may have said that wrong.
Okay, gotcha.
Seeing
this does keep grinding there.
Now, as far as index goes, I was just taking a look at the SPY. Still having a hard time getting back above 600 after we traded above it in pre-market. 2 times this morning, it's tried to break above 600, rejected both times.
MSTR, another leg higher here. Jay mentioning odd, which he gave to the group here on that dip buy. That continuing to roll higher here, right? Jay, what price did you get on this? You might already be 2 points up on that. That's nice. Sound green, SOUN.
Yeah.
That had a wild morning.
It did have a wild morning. It was weak out the gate with all the other semis, and then it recovered. It looks like it was BCG. Was correcting that for us. BCG. That would be Bina Capital.
This is the one that this was a halt and then it opened and halted again. Yeah, yep.
That looks
Netflix above 800. Netflix looking like that's trying to go higir here as well. That's taking a little bit of a break after Costco's recent move. By the way, went to Costco this weekend. At my store, they had the little stations where you have to swipe your ID. So I know we talked about that recently here. Oh. That has now come to my store as well. So it looks like they're rolling that out nationwide.
Just trying to check something here on Netflix. I think I have a okay. So Netflix could run all week. They have the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight on Friday.
Yeah, that's right. What do we got for that, by the way? Real quick.
I don't care. That's just the stupidest thing ever.
Okay, but do you think one of them is going to win? I know you don't care, but
they're both going to win. They're both going to win.
Okay. 13 does not care about the fight.
I think it's an absolute joke.
I tried. I think Mike Tyson's going to win. I think he might hurt him.
I think. Well, that's my hope. I just think that this is just I think it's just a big joke. I don't want to see Mike Tyson fight again, even though I think he will. As long as he can get him down in the first round, I think that's fine. But the longer it goes on, the harder it might be for him. But
Brandon says, I think everyone wants Tyson.
Everybody wants Tyson.
Boy, how that stuff has changed, huh? Ja is saying it all. Jam, excuse me, Ja M. Costco also swipes cards in Canada. Yeah, it seems to me that they're making an entire move to this. Canada, US, all of it. Tyson is going to knock Paul out whenever he wants, but Tyson probably has been told to draw the fight out a little bit. This might be the most based take so far, Chris. Honestly, I could see every part of this take happening.
No, you're right, Christopher. He is in phenomenal shape. I'm not saying he's not going to, be able to go toe to toe with Paul. I'm just saying that because of his age, he's older. He might the gas might run out faster if it goes on for a while.
I'll say this real quick. Chris said, "Have you seen his training pit? His training pics?" So I've actually seen Mike Tyson recently in person. Actually shook his hand. Dude is literally chiseled. It looks like he's chiseled out of stone. I said this before when this fight was first announced. Mike is still Mike. Okay, Mike is still Mike. Like, I understand he's old and 13. You bring up a really good point about endurance, and we'll see how that plays out. And you're not wrong about that. But Mike's still Mike. Okay, dude is an absolute beast and is in unreal shape. Of course, the discussion here about Tyson has led to a discussion about ticker TSN.
Yes.
They report tomorrow in the morning. What do you think, Jay? What do you think on this one? I got to be honest with you. I don't have a position. Now that we're talking about it, you're like making me think about a position. I suspect Tyson goes higher tomorrow. That would be my guess.
200-day been providing support. 50-day SMA been providing resistance. One of those SMAs is going to fall tomorrow. But anyway, yeah. So that's the whole thought on Netflix was that event that it's leading up to.
Jay, no interest in Tyson. You're looking into growth names. That makes sense. I got it. Here's BCG continuing to print highs. Let's see if this goes through 5 on BCG. It actually looks like it had 5 prints. Sorry, 13. I keep running you over.
It's okay. Soundhound, that's knocking on the door of 750. We've been watching this level for a good portion of the morning. That's where the 65 EMA is, just a little bit beneath that 750 level. A lot of asks at the 750. So as soon as we start seeing some volume expand, we might be able to chew through that. And once we do, it could be a pretty big move through that EMA.
CLSK right there at VWAP. By the way, Brandon here saying, in other news, I'd watch you guys in a sports show too. Food for thought. I love hearing this, Brandon. I'll tell you what, there seems to be a lot of overlap between sports and market people, but there's a cohort of market people that are almost offended if you talk about sports. So we generally make quick quips here and then move on. I've recently just kind of been kicking around the idea of starting a podcast, and sports would be a huge part of that. I'd be curious to know, are you talking about gambling, like daily fantasy football, just sports coverage in general, like an alternative to ESPN? What specifically would interest you? I'm huge in sports. That's like the other thing outside of the market that I absolutely love. So I'd love to be able to fire something else up like that.
Yeah, getting a mention that Save is over $3. That's I mean, this thing might have some new life breathed into it because of the incoming administration and the whole thought on the way that they're going to handle mergers. I don't know where this goes, but I can see that the next level I'd be curious about would be the 200-day SMA, which is at 366. We are about 57 cents away. Yes, all oil down, so cheaper energy costs. Good point. Down to 10 people in my survivor pool. Get it, Chris.
Voodoo, I'd like to hear a fantasy podcast. Not really impressed with a lot of stuff out there. Okay. Appreciate that. Sports news, hot topics. You guys are just fun to listen to in general. I tell you what, you really haven't seen it. Like 13 and I can really start build when we get into like some of the drafts that we do, some of the fantasy football drafts, you get towards the end of the draft. There's been a couple of scotches. That could be fun. That might be something we have to do. I'll keep that. I appreciate you mentioning that though here.
Yeah, if we're going to introduce alcohol, we're not going to be doing it while we're trading. That's just irresponsible.
That for sure. 13. We got about 20 seconds left here. Any closing words here for the group? I'm going to send you over to Trader Baiynd next.
Well, been a really fun morning, seeing a lot of weakness and then reversals. I don't know how long this Bitcoin rally is going to last, but I don't think it's a bad idea to trim on the way up. We're really getting extended here in a lot of names. Let's just try to exercise some good discipline. Take gains where you think you need to take them. Create stops where you think you need to create them. And let's just hold on to these gains. Things are going to get pretty volatile here, especially with CPI coming up this week. I'll see you tomorrow, folks.
Well said, 13. Thanks very much for everything. I'll catch you a little bit later in happy hour. Folks, have a great one. Big B saying, I won this weekend. Let's go. Big. Were you playing me? Can't remember if you were playing me or not. In any case, great stuff here this week. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused, and we will